Yo, yo, yo. Tss, tss. 1, 2. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in this beautiful venue that all goes all the way back to the 1960s. This is Sparks. Used to be owned by, as I just learned past Monday, by the company Shell. It's true, isn't it? It is. It's your colleague who told me that the shells that are the lights, the light fixtures, they're still a little memento of what used to be in this room. So, this is the last day of the European Ocean Days. Everyone can go, oh, here we go. And I think the sound is pretty good. The acoustics are good. And there's also already our first guest appearing in the room. Good morning. How are you doing? Everything okay? Yeah? Did you come from very far? From Portugal? Wow. Obrigado. we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, while people are still pouring in, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you all in this beautiful venue, which is called Sparks. I'm just checking, who is just for the first time here in this venue? Who is for the first time here? Oh, wow, the newbies. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. Who has been here the entire week? The entire week? Okay. In the front, yes. You will be happy to go home tonight, I believe. Or has it been a wonderful week? Yeah, I think it has been. I think it has been a wonderful week. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in this penultimate session of the European Ocean Days. This afternoon we have the last session, but this is the before last. Marine knowledge for the Ocean Pact, ocean observation, data and services towards an operational digital twin ocean. I would like to welcome you all here in this nice venue, but also people following the live stream. Welcome. Don't skip away. It's going to be very interesting. We have a lot on our plate in this morning session. It's all about marine knowledge for the Ocean Pact, ladies and gentlemen, and the preparation for the Ocean Pact demands a robust foundation of knowledge. And this morning we're going to focus on this crucial need by gathering Europe's marine data and observation to discuss challenges and opportunities. The morning session, Marine Knowledge for the Ocean Pact, will be devoted to showcase the crucial role of all the components of its value chain. We're talking about ocean observation, data, research, models and forecasting, assessments and scenario analysis, delivery of this outputs in different forms, including applications under the European Digital Twin Ocean as well as citizen science. If we talk about marine knowledge, well, it is the value chain from designing and implementing of ocean observation to producing knowledge outputs for policy, blue economy and society. Marine knowledge comprises everything that assists the theoretical and practical understanding and interpretation of the marine environment and our interactions with it. It is developed through facts, information and skills acquired through experience or education. Marine knowledge, ladies and gentlemen, is the key to unlock the potential of our seas and oceans in a sustainable manner. And this morning session, we're going to have the opening words in just a few minutes. Then we will have a keynote with a special twist. More on that later. And then we will have 3 panel discussions with seasoned experts. And this until, I think, 12:30. And then we will have a nice lunch. You will have the opportunity to ask questions with Slido. Who has never heard of Slido before? Please raise your hands. Who has really a lot of experience with Slido? There you go, everyone. Yes, Slido. Yes, we can use the smartphone, yes. So you can scan the QR code. If the QR code is malfunctioning, maybe that you didn't update your QR scanner, could be, you can go to slido.com and you can put in the code #2482844. Write that down in the palm of your hand, #2482844. It will be valid for the rest of the morning. Ladies and gentlemen, we're ready for the opening session. We're ready to open this morning session. Are you ready? Oh, come on. Are you ready? I need some motivation on this last day, ladies and gentlemen. The person who will open this session, she is the Director General of DG Mare, Maritime Affairs and Fisheries since June 2020. She has been serving the European Commission for more than 20 years from multiple positions of responsibility. And before that, she was serving the public administration of her country, Bulgaria. Please welcome Director General Maritime Affairs and Fisheries, Karlina Vicheva.
Thank you, Olivier. So I'm not going to cheer you even further because I think that our moderator achieved that. Good morning, everyone. I'm really pleased to welcome you to the final day of our full week of successful events. I hope you find them successful because it is for you. These are our second European Ocean Days, and we are very happy to be able to summon the community of the Friends of the Ocean. This morning's event is dedicated to knowledge and the power it holds to enable understanding, sustainability, and competitiveness. We will also delve into very interesting discussions, I hope, it depends on you, and listen to more of your views and feedback to frame and shape our European Ocean Pact, its components, its blocks, and its main objectives. To build a strong Ocean Pact, to continue delivering on global leadership in marine policy, to achieve further development of a sustainable and competitive European blue economy, we need the foundation of marine knowledge. I've been repeating it throughout this full week of events. So I'm not doing you a lip service because I know that today we have a bias towards this community that deals with knowledge and research. But marine knowledge is not easy to get, and you know better in this room than anyone else. It is not straightforward, nor achievable without serious planning and investment. I'm speaking about a long and complex value chain with distinct and shared responsibilities. Some lay on the European Commission, some on the European Union member states, some on our institutions, research institutions, universities, and various organizations that are engaged in this field. This is recognized in our Commissioner Cadi's mission letter, which announces the development of a comprehensive agenda for marine knowledge and is part of the European Ocean Pact. Marine knowledge comprises everything that assists the theoretical and practical understanding and interpretation of the marine environment and our interactions with it. The value chain starts with the designing and implementing of ocean observation. On its own, a very complicated matter. These observations cover operational purposes, for example, fisheries management, which were engaged throughout the year in DG Mare. They are conducted to fulfill reporting obligations and to support research needs, but actually they underpin the whole process of decision-making of the common fisheries policy. They are a significant and very necessary investment of the European member states, especially in times of economic and even more political and a lot of environmental change. For these observations to be used, they need to be transformed to data. Another very important subject. Scientists always say that if we don't have a good input, the output of a research will be corrupt. The complex nature of the marine environment is translated in complex and multidisciplinary data, which are necessary to understand in the first place, to plan, to manage, to safeguard our life near the ocean. And very importantly, it helps us to take our decisions. I know that from firsthand, because I used to be, in my experience in the European Commission, the Deputy Director General and for quite a bit also acting Director General of the Joint Research Center. So I know how important it is, knowledge or evidence-based policy. These data needs, of course, to follow methodological rules and standards. They need to be appropriately managed so that they can be processed further to produce knowledge outputs for policy, knowledge for blue economy, and for the whole of our society. Marine knowledge is the key to unlock the potential of our seas and ocean in a sustainable manner. And so many of you have been highlighting how important sustainability is for the health of our ocean. And it is important and necessary to repeat it. In our Directorate General, DG Mare, and in the European Commission, through our many services, we have been working intensely, and I would say this team in Mare that is organizing this full week of events is tireless in their efforts, and I use the opportunity to thank them very, very warmly. We have been working intensely in all these aspects of marine knowledge. By the way, I think at least half, I have to check, at least half of DG Mare is recruiting actually marine biologists. So we deal with knowledge on a daily basis, knowledge data monitoring on a daily basis in DG Mare. Today is really the opportunity to once more bring this discussion in the center of attention. Use this opportunity. We need to showcase its complexity and bring your views and support to the process. I have to tell you that one of the most discussion points for the new common fisheries policy is how to make the knowledge that underpins this policy even more sound, even more reliable, even more based on good data, and we depend on people like you. We have been working on the Ocean Observation Initiative for many months, I would say, also starting from the previous mandate of this commission, aiming to support also the member states to bring transparency, because science needs transparency in order to be trusted, in order to bring collaboration between the member states in the multitude of the observation efforts they are responsible for. There is a lot of scope there for also streamlining and simplifying the process, for making everything we are doing together with the member states much more coherent, interoperable. This is crucial, a crucial process to ensure the continuous and consistent monitoring of our seas. I heard many of our stakeholders' contributions during the recent Ocean Pact high-level roundtable. You remember it was on the 21st of February. And everybody was underlining the support towards this initiative. I hope we will manage to make it see green light. I'm pleased to see this support, because we need this support to be sure that we are moving in the right direction. Our common work on the European Marine Observation and Data Network, everybody knows EMODNet, which brings in data directly collected from the marine environment, the so-called in situ collection of data. We monitor there hundreds of parameters. This community is one of the most uplifting community, I would say. And we do that through hundreds of institutions and collaborators, and they genuinely work together in an orchestrated manner. It is very, very well known and much appreciated, not only within our bubble, it is appreciated, I would say, globally, if not at least macro-regionally. We strive so that EMODNet grows continuously and consistently, supporting the availability of more data on more parameters with better coverage. This is a community approach demonstrating loudly and clearly the power of European collaboration, which extends even beyond European boundaries. But it is not only us in DG Mare. Our colleagues in the Directorate General for Defense and Earth Observation, DEFIS, they are managing the Copernicus Marine Service, which ensures the availability of satellite ocean observation and data. This is really powerful. With its global coverage, it provides crucial marine knowledge services, including state-of-the-art marine forecasting and high-level analysis of information, a real global source, and it is publicly available. It is open to everyone in the globe. You can't imagine how many countries and services are using it. We built on these two key services, the in situ and Earth observation collection of data. Together, also with our colleagues from the Directorate General for Research and Innovation. So you see how many colleagues inside and services inside the Commission are working on this project. And our main objective is to create the main enabler of the digital twin ocean, the digital ocean knowledge system, which we would like to produce. Magnificent project, and we heard Olivier mentioning it. We all have very high expectation from this project and very high hopes, and that really brings the bar very high to meet your expectations. The European Digital Twin Ocean will make marine knowledge more accessible, more meaningful for various users, for the citizens themselves. It will provide the foundation to achieve more efficient, more effective decision-making. We built the European Digital Twin Ocean on a wide collaboration of services and stakeholders. We work with our colleagues not only from DEFIS, from the research and innovation, not our own colleagues from EMODNet, and I really use the opportunity to thank the incredible team that is driving EMODNet in DG Mare. But also, we should not forget the Joint Research Center that delivers enormous amount of knowledge output and works quite close hand in hand with our colleagues in Mare, but also DG Environment, the European Environmental Agency. So we are harvesting all this expertise, data and knowledge. We work with a wide variety of marine knowledge stakeholders, bringing in their research tools and applications. I would like to use the opportunity to thank here the wider research community, our universities, our research institutes. We have really top world-class marine research. And we go beyond that. Marine knowledge goes in many more directions than those covered. The time we have is not enough to cover everything, and I'm sure that the more we know, the more we will discover we'll need to monitor and measure. But I do need to mention fisheries data and scientific advice, as well as socioeconomic data. If you listen to our fishers, you will see that they really want that we have a holistic approach to the three layers of sustainability. And socioeconomic sustainability is one of them. A European marine knowledge agenda needs to recognize and combine all the pieces of the puzzle to succeed and to be relevant. Our aim with this event is to offer a taste of this. Marine knowledge is a mosaic of activities, of stakeholders, of initiatives, of various projects, a multidimensional and complex value chain with actors from the local to the international level. We all work together, directly or indirectly. Our actions, our priorities, our initiatives, our work are all interlinked. The European Ocean Pact, with the marine knowledge agenda, is an opportunity for the European Commission and for you, our stakeholders, to work deeper, better, more aligned in these issues, to build collaboration and bring optimization that will benefit policy, economy, and society. And we have so much to build on. I would not miss to mention once again Mission Ocean. Mission Ocean is part of Horizon Europe, the biggest research, international research agenda in the world. It dedicates special funds for research in marine and ocean matters. So we have to build on that. We have numerous projects that are registered on our charter. Many of these take their seed money from research and start from research. And I would like also to link here the marine research and marine knowledge to the global agenda. You know that we are in the UN Decade for Ocean Research and Knowledge. This is our contribution to the global agenda. And we have to make it in a European style, with a lot of collaboration, with a lot of high-class research. And talking about the interface between knowledge and policymaking, one of the initiatives that we are going to launch together with the French hosting the UN Ocean Conference is to have an interface at global stage between knowledge, research, scientific evidence, and policymaking to get their engagement. We will propose an international platform for ocean sustainability. I hope you will join this global community and we will make it a success. I value your presence here today. I'm looking forward to listening to the contributions of our participants who represent part of a key community, and I know it is multidisciplinary and vibrant. Thank you very much for joining us. Make the best out of this last day of the European Ocean Days 2025.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Karina Vicheva, for these wonderful words opening this, like I said, penultimate session. Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for the first Slido question as a sort of a lead-in to our keynote. So there we go. If you have the QR code there or the hashtag 2482844, then you can answer our first Slido question, which is, what do you think is the biggest obstacle in improving marine knowledge for ocean sustainability and for competitive blue economy? Important to notice that multiple answers are possible. So you can, well, don't choose them all. That would be too easy. But just indicate the ones that speak to you the most and that you say like, yeah, for me, those are the ones that are the biggest obstacles in improving marine knowledge for ocean sustainability and for competitive blue economy. We have a lot of people going to insufficient funding. Yes, 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 they say, show us the money. 25% go, 23%, limited awareness. Yeah. So there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, keep on choosing your biggest obstacles, well, in your opinion, the biggest obstacles in improving marine knowledge for ocean sustainability and for competitive blue economy. A lot of people are answering. 55 respondents for the moment, 59. Yeah. If everyone has access to Slido, it's working. Yeah, you all have the mobile network or the Wi-Fi. There you go. I think that it's very clear that there's a big distinction between the bottom three and then the first two of them, limited awareness and policy engagement in the importance of marine knowledge and insufficient funding. These are the major options that are chosen. 83 people are answering, still answers pouring in. But I think it is clear, ladies and gentlemen, that you are choosing for the limited awareness and policy engagement and for the insufficient funding. And I think this is the appropriate lead-in to our keynote of today. Now, first of all, let me do the introduction and then give it a little twist. Like I said in the beginning, it's a keynote just with a little twist. Our keynote speaker is the head of Ocean Economy and Space Economy, IPSO unit, within the Directorate for Science, Technology and Innovation of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. She will explain why and how marine knowledge is connected to the development and competitiveness of the blue economy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, she would have been here. She should have been here. She could have been here, were it not for an explosive device that was discovered in Saint-Denis, which is the train station near Paris, and it was an old explosive device from World War I that was just discovered there, and they said, close down all the train stations. And so she is still in Paris, I think she's still at home somewhere, but through the magic of digital connection, she's with us, ladies and gentlemen. She is with us. So give it up, remotely give it up for the wonderful Claire Joly, who is now joining us live from wherever she is, I don't know.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm so sorry I cannot join you. I know I have many friends and colleagues at the conference this morning. And indeed, there are no trains traveling from Gare du Nord this morning, and I think it's going to last for the day. So I apologize for not being with you, but I'd be very happy to share some thoughts on the importance of marine knowledge for the Ocean Pact. So if you could go to the next slide, because I cannot see the slides from here. So you should see that this morning's session should deal with ocean observation, marine data, digital twins. And a question that was asked by our good colleagues from the European Commission was, well, is any of this actually important for competitiveness, sustainability, and for implementing marine environmental policy? I think the Slido um, that you just showed actually really, I would say, percolate with many of these issues. So, frankly, in two slides, I could give some quite obvious responses. The first one is that indeed, and I believe I'm preaching to the choir here, marine data is actually useful to guide the decisions of many different actors, operationally, but also scientifically. I mean, there are obvious reasons why we collect data. The next slide, please. And I would say a second main point here is that collecting marine data of many different types is actually also critical to actually conserve and sustainably use the ocean. We know that in order to develop marine spatial planning, in order to develop marine protected areas, we do need the data. We need to see what's going on. And the good news that I've just heard is that indeed our colleagues from European institutions are hiring biologists. And this is very good news because in terms of looking at current essential ocean variables, we do need a lot still to be done in terms of collecting biological data. So it seems quite obvious we need ocean data, different types for science, but also for operations of many actors active in the ocean economy, and for people that are actually trying to administer better, manage better ocean space. But is that enough? Next slide, please. Well, I guess you're convinced. I have to admit, at the OECD, we're quite convinced, but obviously not everyone is. So what's really missing? So over the next 4 slides, I'm going to provide some counter argument. And all of this can be actually then supported by some evidence that we put together. Next slide. So what we hear very often, and that really resonates, I would say, with the Slido that just took place, is that we think, a number of actors think that really funding marine data is really an expense. It's not an investment. Well, let me counter this by saying that actually sustained marine data flows contribute to keep costs down. And we do have the evidence. From cost savings to productivity gains, we have so many examples that showcase how marine data and the entire value chains that actually needs to be implemented actually really provide a number of important cost savings in industries, but also in maritime administrations. We're talking here about preventing shipping bottlenecks. We've had so many examples over the past year with the Panama Canal and the Suez Canal. We have also even reducing in terms of fuel costs, shipping delays, and even inflationary pressures. Because down the road, whenever you have shipping that actually is delayed, that causes issues in terms of stocks and beyond. So, indeed, investing in marine data here really lower costs for businesses and consumers down the road. And again, we do have some evidence to prove this. Next slide. Another point, funding marine data, we have enough data already. So this is something also that we hear quite often, I have to say, which can be a shock, obviously, to many people who are working in the ocean community. But, you know, very often, and even in terms of discussing with some data repositories, archiving systems, the flow of data is actually growing, and you need to actually invest more to be dealing with this. However, I think we're missing a very important point. Right now, at the OECD, we're putting the final touch to a big report called the Ocean Economy to 2050. And obviously, an important factor for improved sustainability will be marine data. Looking at the current digital transformation of our economies, it makes perfect sense to actually make sure that we have the data we need. We will have a session a bit later on digital twins, AI model that are really about to transform the way we use ocean data and provide, I would say, information for decision makers. But without flows of data, I mean, the models won't be that useful. So I think we need to stress this. The two go together. We really need not only the flows of data, but also we need to think ahead in the next decade in order to get autonomous shipping, offshore winds that are even more automatic, I would say, AI-driven weather models, many advances happening right now. We will need real-time ocean monitoring. So I have to say here again, marine data is not just about science, it's also fueling an economy that's much larger than what we have here in the ocean economy, and just looking at the value chains. Next slide, please. Now, that's my third, I would say, point here. Something that we are starting to hear more, because we've done quite a bit of work on the ocean economy. But now, a big question is, well, marine data doesn't really directly impact businesses outside the ocean economy, do they? Well, here again, I think we need to make the case that marine data can be seen as a hedge against global risks. We've conducted a number of surveys. We started with our colleagues from the UK. We continued with colleagues from Portugal. We continued also with colleagues from Belgium, particularly in Flanders, which is hosting IMODNet in particular. And in all our surveys, we actually were able to track a number of users, stakeholders that go much beyond the usual suspects. We find, for instance, that insurance, finance, commodity sectors are actually becoming users of marine data. Not all of the data, obviously, but there are a number of essential ocean variables that are really useful to them because they help them in, again, their models to price risks in coastal areas, for instance, price risks in supply chains. Here, we can say that a number of marine data are actually contributing to be some sort of economic stabilizers, cutting financial uncertainty across industries far beyond traditional ocean industries. Again, we have the evidence. We need to be careful when we talk about marine data that we don't stay always in the same little bubble. It goes much beyond, much outside the ocean economy, this importance of marine data. And finally, my last counter argument in the next slide. Well, marine data is just for scientists and environmentalists. Well, very often it starts with scientists and environmentalists. We need actually useful data for science. But let me provide a counter argument, especially in the current geopolitical conditions that we're facing. Well, we see that marine data actually represent also a national security and risk management asset. And that's very clear based on some recent news over the past 6 months in terms of maritime surveillance, tracking illegal fishing, and also other illicit activities. We have a whole bit, I would say, on what we call the dark ocean economy in our report, where we see many bad activities happening in the ocean. But obviously, beyond all of this, we know that governments, in particular, need to know much better what's happening in their ocean space and beyond. And we're not just talking about the surface, we're talking about the water column and the seabed. This is a brand new dimension that needs to come up for decision makers. So here again, without sustained investment in marine data, we know that countries really lose a crucial tool for their security. This is, I think, something that's going to come up more and more. Again, this is not at all in opposition with having marine data, ocean observations for science. But we need to realize that they can be used for many different types of information that would be useful for policymakers. So that's going to be then my final slide, please. So what about the Ocean Pact? So I know that some questions were coming. How does it all relate? Well, clearly, from the work that we've conducted at OECD, we do believe that marine data and ocean observing in particular should be considered an essential infrastructure investment for the EU and others. We mentioned this during the Ministerial of the Science and Technology ministers that took place in April 2024 at OECD. So we had the 38 member states plus many other actors, so more than 50 countries in the room. And indeed, ocean observing was a topic that came up. This is, I think, very important. We need to stress this. Also, and that resonates with the very nice speech we just had before, in terms of the responsibilities of Europe, we believe, and I think it's important, that Europe should carry more responsibilities because of all its scientists, because of all its know-how in actually sustaining global ocean observations. Not only for the European citizens, but also supporting observations in the Southern Ocean, for instance. I think it's quite important to put this in a global perspective and to look ahead for the next 10 years. And finally, just to be very concrete in terms of cooperation, we know that a number of governments will not want to share as much as they wanted before. It's always been a challenge to make sure that people actually share as much as possible. I think we need to be very pragmatic, particularly as part of the Ocean Pact, and agree that governments in particular should share data as openly as possible. And this is really good open data policies, but also as restrictively as necessary. Again, very pragmatic to make sure that we get the most of what everybody is doing and everyone investing very much right now in different types of observing. So these are just a few thoughts. Obviously, we do have a lot of evidence that can sustain some of the elements that I mentioned. Again, on the 31st of March, we'll be very happily launching this big report on the ocean economy to 2050. This is just the start of the adventure, I would say, as we have the OECD Ocean Economy Monitor program, which is coming fully online with us, where we have data for more than 140 countries, looking at their ocean economy, providing very detailed data on 33 different economic activities across the globe. And we think it's going to be a resource that's going to be very useful for sustainability, but also for strategic thinking of how to deal with the ocean economy. So I'll stop here, and I thank you very much again for this opportunity to speak to you. And I really wish I would have been with you today. So thanks again.
Thank you very much, Claire Joly. Thank you very much for your flexibility. And please stay away from the Gare Saint-Denis, because we want you to remain in one piece, of course. I don't know if there is opportunity to, no, there are no questions in this part, but I think that it is clear that, well, the statements, we have enough data, well, it's not true. It's an expense, not an investment. It doesn't directly impact the businesses. It's just for scientists and environmentalists. I think that we can all counter that, especially with our panel discussions, ladies and gentlemen. We are having the first panel discussion here on stage, and the structure will always be the same. We will have someone who will do a policy input on the topic, and then we will have some panel members who will answer the questions. So first of all, I would like to invite on stage the Director General for Maritime Affairs and Fisheries of the European Commission, Andrea Stracinescu, who will give the policy pitch to outline what the European Commission has done in the past on ocean observation and what they plan to do as a part of the Ocean Pact. So please give a big round of applause. Yes? Wait. There's a slight misunderstanding, ladies and gentlemen. It's your name on the slide.
Yeah, no, it was how you said it because okay.
Yeah, I made a mistake.
No.
It's okay. If ever I made a mistake, just send me to Gare Saint-Denis. I will do the demining of the explosive device.
No,
Is it okay?
it's okay. I'm the head of unit. So, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Ocean Days. I think that through the previous speakers, a lot have been said. And if I'm not wrong, it has to be one slide that will show you how complicated, at the end, complex, it's the universe of ocean observation. So the observation is done for multiple purposes. The observation is done by various actors. And we have always, when you speak about observation, to think at satellite and in situ observation. Satellite, through the efforts of the European Union, Copernicus, and especially Copernicus Marine, is doing a greatly job. Where we have to collaborate more, it's about the in situ observations. And here, Claire Joly explained you the role of data, and my Director General as well did it in an excellent way. What I wanted just to add from this perspective is that we have a beautiful initiative that was mentioned, EMONET, that it's taken all this data collected and offered in a voluntary way. It's important that data is shared because for what is in situ observation, we need continuous, we need coherent data, and what is not observed now, it's lost. So what is not shared as well cannot be accounted for. Through the mission Ocean, we are supporting the digital twin of the ocean, the development, but also through the mission Ocean, and we try as much as possible through Horizon to encourage the projects not only to use the marine data that are offered free by EMONET, but also to contribute. It's quite important that if you are involved in various projects that are collecting data, do not forget to share. If we do not have a set of coherent, comprehensive, abundant data, digital twin that is going to be built, it's not going to be rich and meaningful as we want it to be. So my main plea of today was engage, share, contribute, because in terms of observations, you will hear from the member of the panel today, and for sure that there are a lot more experience outside. Engage. If you have knowledge of others in the community doing excellent things in terms of observation and sharing, do not hesitate to encourage them to join us. At the level of the European Union, you heard about ocean observation. We work together with the member states. We set in place a group sharing what is done at the level of the member states. We want to support the member states, but we want to support that ocean observation becomes as well something that can bring more transparency, also effectiveness from the point of view of what are is the process, but also the opportunities. If we are strong in ocean observation, we can create also an industry in Europe, we can be competitive, and also we can have the solid base of knowledge that is needed to develop our policies. So I will stop here, and I'm certain that you will hear interesting things from the member of the panel. If later, after today, you would like to be part of the community, I think that my colleague Zoe Constantinou, but not only myself, my director general, will have always the door open that we work together. So thank you very much, and I hope you'll enjoy the day.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Head of Unit on Marine Knowledge and Innovation.
You said Director General, so
I know, but Andrea, you don't know what future has in store for you. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe it's some foreshadowing. Your boss didn't kill you. And yeah. I will check what happened. I will check what happened. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the first panel discussion? Oh, yeah, of course. I hope that these descriptions are correct. First of all, I would like to invite them on stage, 4 of them, and then I will give a short introduction on who they are. So please give a warm welcome to Alessandra Giorgetti, Inga Lips, Nicolas Pare, and Rui Caldera. Hello. You can keep on applauding, ladies and gentlemen, as long as they're not seated. Hello, welcome. Hello. It's okay. There you go. I'm going to sit close to you. There is some water for everyone. There's a microphone for everyone. So whenever you want to say something, please do so. And for the audience here, you can ask questions. You can do it with the QR code. You can do it with Slido. You can also do it live. And for the people watching the live stream, you can send in the questions with Slido. And then at the end of the panel discussion, we will have some time for, I think, maybe 1 or 2 questions. We'll see. Alessandra Giorgetti. Where is Alessandra? Good morning. Good morning. Let's check if this is correct. Senior expert in marine data management, Deputy Director of Oceanography Section, leading the Oceanographic Data Center, the Italian UNESCO IOC IOD node. Is that correct?
Yes.
It is completely correct. There you go. And then we have Inga. Inga, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Everything okay?
Fine.
Fine, fantastic. Secretary General of, is it correct, Eurogoose? Yeah, the European Global Observing System and Chair of the European Ocean Observing System Framework, which aims to support the coordination of European ocean observation and create a sustainable and fit-for-purpose system. A lot of observing going on there, so that is great.
Ocean observing.
Of course, which is necessary. And then we have Nicolas. Nicolas, good morning.
Good morning.
Everything okay?
Very good, thank you.
Very good. We already discussed your little brooch here with the Sustainable Development Goals, which highlights number, what is it, number?
14.
Number 14, and that is?
It's life below the ocean, or below the surface, rather.
Absolutely correct. Executive Director of the European Marine Biological Resource Center, EMBRC, ERIC, one of the European marine research infrastructures. That is correct.
That is correct.
Luckily. And then Rui Caldera. Good morning, Rui.
Good morning.
Everything okay?
Everything okay? Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Where are you from?
Madeira.
Oh,
Madeira Island, yes.
wow. Principal Research Scientist acting as Chairman of the Board at the Madeira Agency for the Development of Science, Technology and Innovation, Arditi.
Indeed.
Wow. You all have business cards that are that long. Inga, I'm gonna start with you. First question is for you. I know that I'm in a room where the most people are familiar with all these terms and abbreviations, and it's, for me as a layman, it's really complex. And I want to better understand, I need to better understand, what is the added value of ocean observation, and how does it connect with the Ocean Pact and the focus it puts on competitiveness? So if you please, can you put it in simple terms just for me?
I promise I will not use any acronyms in this intervention. And also I think that most of the answer was coming already from our keynote speaker.
Yeah.
So what I can do in this moment is really to put some more details into her slides. I really enjoyed and liked how she expressed that ocean observation is like invisible part of the marine knowledge value chain, because this is something that is always taken like granted, that we have all the services, we have all the products, but we are not thinking so much back that how those services and products are developed. So to develop these services and products that people use are the marine weather forecast, or let's say wave height to go surfing, for example. These all are coming from the observations. So we need long-term sustained observations to understand different shifts in the ecosystem so that we can prepare ourselves, how to mitigate, how to adapt, how to manage our activities. We do not need to manage ocean, we need to manage our activities. We need also ocean observations to detect sudden events, like, for example, the oil spills or harmful algal blooms, because they have threat not only to the ocean, but also to human beings. And also to predict different happenings. So if we do not have enough observations to monitor and predict, for example, the water levels, the floodings are coming unnoticed, so that we are not prepared. So there are a lot of benefits that we are gaining from ocean observations, but most important is that observations need to be sustained and not just sporadic and done in few places. If to come to the Ocean Pact, which is very much concentrating around the blue economy and competitiveness, then our keynote speaker also made a lot of examples how the different industries are benefiting from the ocean observations. And I can just give some more details. For example, let's take this nice example from Eurogos conference was held 2 years ago in Galway, and we enjoyed those delicious oysters. And at the same time, farmers highlighted that they depend very much on ocean observations to the access to temperature and salinity data and predictions, because temperature and salinity are those factors that are determining the mortality rate and also the feeding rate of the oysters. So without access to that information, they would have experienced many sudden damages in the companies, so that they would have lost the harvest. And also Jolie mentioned the benefit for the shipping and logistic companies through the better planning of the shipping routes. But for that, you need the data of the currents. And if you do not have the data and predictions of the currents, you cannot make your shipping routes more efficient. And more efficient shipping routes, it doesn't only mean the gain in time, how long you spend your travel, but it also influences a lot how much you use your fuel. So it's a clear impact also to the blue economy, also the green gas emission. And maybe something that is also connected with innovation a little bit, or a lot, it's the transition to green energy. So governments and organizations who are planning the deployments of wind farms in the sea, they depend on the information about the currents and waves. So otherwise they are not able to plan the deployments. And this in turn also facilitates the innovation, because it gives us a tool to really go more greener and in this green energy transition. So these are the examples that could be directly connected with the aims of the Ocean Pact. So.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, because like I said, I'm the layman here. I'm not at all the expert. You're talking about sustainable collection of data. It should be more recurrent. It should be more active, and maybe in a lot more locations. How would you cope with the accessibility to these data? Where should we find those data?
I think this is also a key, that all the data that are collected should be accessible. Otherwise, if they are hidden or protected, they are not for the good for the society. And in Europe, we have great initiatives that were also mentioned by previous speakers. EMOTNet, for example, Copernicus Marine, who are aggregating all the different informations and making this information to the products and services, so that really benefiting the society. So the accessibility and free share of data is a key.
Yeah, because normally data is the new currency, but not in this case.
We also have to think about the private industry. Sometimes there are things that they do not want to reveal, because it's connected with the security. So we have to bear this also in mind. But when we are talking about the environmental data and the benefit for the society from the environmental data that we are collecting, I think we can do a lot to have a more broad and open access.
Yeah, then it should be open source, absolutely. Alessandra, I'm coming to you. Everything still okay?
Yes.
Okay, nice. Where are you from, actually?
Well, I'm from Italy,
You're
from OGS.
Aha. And this is what my question is about. It's about Italy, because you're bringing the perspective of the national expert on ocean observation and data. Can you give us an example from your experience on how better ocean observation has supported policy or development goals in your country, in Italy?
Yes. To answer this question, I would like to give you the example of a report which was actually produced by the Joint Research Center of the European Commission, and it is on the European coastline macrolither trends. And this, I think it's really a good example in practice of how this marine knowledge value chain has worked. It's a positive example. At the end, in the report, it's shown that even if litter, we know it's a big problem, but the trends shows that there is a decrease from 2015 till 2020, so in this two. And these results were made possible thanks to, indeed, this collaboration of all the elements, including Italy, let's say.
Yeah.
And in this sense, we know we have the Marine Strategy Framework Directives that sets the scene and that works for this good environmental status with its descriptors. And then we have the MSFD technical group on marine litter, which is setting guidelines on how member states should collect data and should perform this monitoring.
Yeah.
In the same group, also, there is a collaboration, straight collaboration with EMODNet, we know, for the collection of this data and for the management and the integration of all this data. Yeah. And this was achieved, well, I have to mention it's done in collaboration with the regional sea conventions, OSPAR at first, but also the other regional sea conventions and all member states, obviously. But at the end, it was possible to put together all this data in a reasonable short time frame, because all this started, we know, a marine strategy in 2012, but EMODNet in this regard in 2017. So in a short time frame, it was possible to collaborate within these working groups and to get this interaction between monitoring data and the collection of data and the assessment and the European policy makers that were able to take out results based on this really evidence on data collected at sea. And what I would like to stress that the important is that all member states in this monitoring were adopting a shared protocol, let's say, a consolidated and jointly defined protocols in this collection. At first, Italy was not following completely the protocol. Yeah. For example, we're reporting items found on beaches on different classification. And it seems, not a big issue, but going to compare all this information, that created a big issue. Yeah. So situation was changed, and then in the following monitoring, everything went more smoothly. Nice. And taking at the end a good, I would say, positive result. Yeah. Of this whole interaction of these different elements.
Yeah, nice example of this collaboration and also the sharing of data, and then it becomes clear that there is an issue. As long as you keep it to yourself, then, well, there is no clear overview. This is a positive example. I'm always the devil's advocate. Is there also an example where you say, well, the lack of ocean observation has, well, blocked policy or has, like, hindered the blue economy? Do you have a negative example also?
Well, it's difficult to find out the negative examples, but for example, Italy just released the Marine Special Planning plans with a certain delay. It was released last October with a 2 years delay. And this plans puts together all the observations, all the data available on the use of the seas, of the maritime. And indeed, lack of measurements, lack of observation, for example, on the effect of the wind farms or several elements of the biodiversity in marine protected areas and so on. This lack of observations was one of the main reasons of this delay.
Yeah.
So indeed, we always need more observations.
Yeah. More and faster, like more and faster observations. Nicholas, everything still okay?
Yes.
That's.
I had enough coffee. I'm still awake.
Happy to hear that. Happy to hear that. Your work involves, among other things, working with biological ocean observation, which I understand maybe even more complicated in management and coordination than other observations, and especially I hear also, well, I read between the lines, more expensive maybe, could be. Can you shortly explain how this works and why this observation key for policy is key for policy and for blue economy?
Yes. So we had a very nice introduction from Claire Joly, and one of the first slides showed the maturity level of the different components of our observation network today. And it's nice to see that the first three components are very mature, it's operational, but when you see the biological component, it's still very much in an infancy, because it is very, very complex. So there's still a lot of data lacking there, and I think this also leads to a lack of appreciation of why this data is important. But when we talk about biological observation, we're talking about looking at everything that's alive in the sea. So we're talking about everything from whales down to bacteria and diatoms, so everything from the largest to the smallest. But not just whether it's there or not, it's also how it interacts. And so there isn't a single sensor you can put into the ocean to measure biology. So it's not a temperature, it's not a salinity. And so there is complexity there in terms of what you want to know, who you're looking at, why you're looking at it. So between everything that is large and small, things move, things stay in place, some things are sessile, but they also interact with each other. And so understanding all those interactions are extremely complex and requires an awful lot of data to do so. It requires different sensors to do so as well, and a lot of those sensors are not very mature at all. It is a very exciting time at the moment because there's a huge amount of momentum at the moment. There's lots of development, and particularly when we look around imaging technology, is moving very quickly also into miniaturization. There's really good deployment in terms of using machine learning and AI to speed up the identification of images so we can produce data faster and better. Of course, on the DNA side as well, there's a lot of talk about eDNA, and this is from an EMBRC perspective, really the technology that we're particularly interested in terms of standardization and deployment.
What is eDNA?
eDNA is environmental DNA, and it's really an umbrella term for looking at DNA from the ocean. So it can be obtained purely from looking in the seawater, from all the little bits of DNA that organisms have left. You can also filter it to focus on specific groups or particular types. So there's many different approaches to it. So it's become a bit of an umbrella term for anything that uses DNA to try and identify what is in there. There's of course also sound, so acoustics as well is another very promising technology that's advanced a lot. So there's a huge amount of things going on, so I'm very optimistic that we will get moving forward very quickly, but it does require now a lot of attention. We've had decades of good investment and really mature physical oceanography models put in place. We now have to have the same impetus in terms of the biology. It's also further compounded by quite a rudimentary understanding of a lot of the marine ecosystems. So without understanding the systems, it's also difficult to prioritize what we want to look at. So we're still in a logic of wanting to collect everything to understand what is important, what could be an indicator, what is representative of other things. So this leads then into, well, what are we interested in? Why is it important? Well, there's the argument, first of all, in terms of biodiversity. I mean, as a society, we depend on a healthy ocean, whether it's on land or, well, of course, the ocean is only in the sea. But healthy ecosystems are important. And we depend on the oceans, of course, for food in the first instance. So a healthy ocean is a productive ocean. We heard about fisheries in the introduction. This is an absolute key component. And of course, the biological observation is important in terms of gathering a lot of the information of what is there, what is recruitment like, what is, how good a year has it been. So that is in itself an important component. But we also grow increasingly more things in the sea. We are having investments in aquaculture, multi-sites for wind farms and aquaculture. And so again, a healthy sea will lead to more productivity and better yields.
Yeah.
But this also has a number of economic components. There's invasive species, which can impact on the fisheries, it can impact on the aquaculture, it can create problems in ports, on the movement of vessels. There's of course toxic algal blooms as well, which can be incredibly important, which also has an effect on humans. And increasingly we are also becoming aware of the strong link between human health and healthy oceans.
Yeah.
So toxic algal blooms can be aerosol, people breathe it in, it also leads to diseases. So there's a huge amount of important parameters there, and we really now to concentrate on getting that incorporated into the observation system, because we have all the physical and chemical information. Now, the last important component to add is the living bit, which is also the most complex.
Percentage-wise, if you could guess, how much knowledge do you have for the moment? Because what do you know for the right now? Is it like 10%, 5%, 35%? I don't know. How much knowledge do you have for the moment? Do you have any idea?
I think that's almost an impossible question to ask.
I know.
Because every time we dig into a system, we find out something new. Just in the last couple of weeks, there was an article talking about how one of the major fish in Australia was actually very different from what they thought it was.
Yeah.
In the last 10 years, we've become very aware of just how important the microbial component of the ocean is. It drives all the systems, yet we're still talking about whales and seabirds and fish is the most important, but without a really good understanding of the microbial component, we're still lacking the basis. So putting a number on it, I think, is impossible. What we can say is that we are very far away from a full understanding of the system, and it's still very rudimentary. And
that's
so
that's why we should keep on investing and finding out more and more and more to have a clearer view on everything, and it's an ongoing process. It can never stop.
No, and of course I would sit here and say that for me this should be the priority, because it is the gaping hole in our observation network.
Thank you very much. In the meantime, there are questions pouring in. I don't know if we will have time to answer them all. Coming to you, Rui, I already heard the word sensors, and then I immediately thought of you, because you're working on the development of high-precision equipment and sensors for underwater observing. Maybe you can collaborate later on.
Sure.
How do you think these observations that you can make with these precision equipments and sensors can support the quest for development, competitiveness and sustainability in the European blue economy?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Of course, in the same realm, in the same sequence that we've been talking this morning, we cannot exploit nor manage resources that we don't know. Thus, we know we need to go more out to sea, we need to measure more, we need to measure better.
Yeah.
And another aspect which I would like to note is that since we've consumed most of our coastal resources, the ocean economy is moving more and more offshore. So oil and gas, aquaculture, wind farms, deep sea minerals, they're all moving offshore. And the offshore blue economy sectors grew between 150 and 200% between 2000 and 2020, except for oil and gas, of course. So to measure offshore, you need to be able to measure deep.
Yeah.
And measuring deep means measuring deeper than 1,000 meters. And this is a challenge thing to do. Because, of course, in salt water and the extreme pressures and electronics, they don't go very well together. So we really need to make an effort to develop sensors and develop technology that is enabled to go that deep and that far offshore.
Because just as for me,
Sure.
1,000 meters, that means 100 times the pressure of the atmosphere,
Indeed.
right?
Yeah, yeah. And
Just
in
to
the
have an
ocean-
image?
Yeah, and the ocean, you can explore as far as 10 kilometers down. So,
Oh, wow.
So we have a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
and that's you can't explore that deep with only with man systems. And just for you to have an idea, we know more about the surface of Mars than we do about these very ultra deep regions
Oh, wow.
of the ocean.
Yeah.
So we really need to invest in technology. We really need to invest in sensors in order to gather data and information from those deep regions. And of course, manned missions on the deep sea are very risky and operationally very limited because air consumption is very expensive and the water.
Yeah.
We need to put a lot of energy. So, in fact, in Madeira, we have this 20 million euro investment, mostly on the acquisition, because, of course, we're talking about offshore systems, deep sea systems, and therefore we need to rely mostly on this autonomous and high-pressure tolerant sensors to be able to understand how these deep regions work.
Yeah. If we're talking about expensive, I think this is really expensive, but I think it's
Necessary,
worth the money.
yeah.
It's necessary. Absolutely.
That's the thing.
Alessandra, I'm coming back to you just for a short while. How can the European Commission work better and more effectively with the member states to achieve this transparency? We were already talking about transparency of data and also collaboration in the domain of ocean observation. What is your view on that?
European Commission has done a lot on open data, but a lot more has to be done.
Yeah.
And well, one of the mantra that was used by eModnet, by DigiMare, it was data collect once and used many times. And this word used, it's a bit more than open. It's open, yes, but that can be used. And in this regard, I want to stress again the importance of having a common way of measuring, of undertaking these monitoring activities. eModnet, I think, well, so extensively is for the first time comparing and gathering data from all European sea regions, and has the possibility, or the users and the policymakers have the possibility to compare information made available in the different sea basins. And there are differences in the monitoring.
Yeah.
So in this regard, I think that more effort can be done to try to, well, organize and communicate and standard, have. It's an activity done by the experts together.
Yeah, standardize everything so that all the data are reliable. In the meantime, Alessandra, we get some wonderful questions here, and one of the questions is about money. Who should finance data collection in the Mediterranean, where EU share border with other countries? Do we have multilateral arrangements? Anyone who would like to take that question?
Well, one of the elements that I also wanted to underline is the activity and the importance of the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership that is actually undertaking a lot of efforts in the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the other
Inge, do you have a view on that? Who should provide the money?
I think it shouldn't change. It should still be the Europe is taking care of the observations in the European region, but we need to collaborate, and this also brings us a lot to the coordination activities. So we need to coordinate. If we are sharing the sea basin with multiple of countries, not only the European countries, but also outside, we need to find the tools also to collaborate in getting the new knowledge all over the basin, so that we have also the observations installed of the technologies in place in the southern part of the Mediterranean Sea. So it has to be a collective effort. Still, the member states, the Commission are the key for the European funding, but we need to collaborate also in the global scale.
Yeah, absolutely. Another question is also about the economy. How can you prove the value of observations and data in economic terms? So, Anonymous, who wants to put some money on it, like what's the return on investment of these data? Do we have any idea? Who would like to take this question? Not an easy one. Nicholas?
I can take a little stab at it. I think So I really wish Claire was here, because I know that the OECD has done an awful lot of work on this. They've been putting numbers onto the value of the ocean economy and also the importance of observation, which is why they can talk so strongly about the importance of this sector. So I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but there has been quite a lot of activities and exercises carried out to calculate how important it is. Yeah. And of course we have to remember that when we're talking about ocean observation and so on, there we also include weather and forecasting and so on. Yeah. And the multitude of sectors that today depend on predictions and so on is incredibly important. It goes from investors to insurance companies to large shipping companies to development of new harbors, ports, offshore wind farms and so on. So the evidence for the importance of the observation is there. There has been in the past also some tentative exercises to try and show what would happen if data is denied, and what those impacts will be. But I do also think that, especially moving forward and with the opportunities that are being presented with the digital twin, I think now is also an exciting time to demonstrate that we can contribute to different economic sectors. From a biological point of view, this is something that I'm extremely interested to say, okay, what is the foot up that we can give to the bioeconomy by having better prediction and modeling ability in terms of where we fish, where we set up wind farms, where we have aquaculture and so on. Yeah. So we have some information, but there are other sectors that are still not so important. But I think it is also extremely important that we continue to bear in mind that we do need to demonstrate value. Yeah. We can't expect these things to land on us just because they're important to do. There's always a good ethical answer to why we should do this. But at the end of the day, there has to be real beneficiaries from it.
Absolutely. Really, go ahead.
In the technology sense, we also add a lot of qualified employment. So because we are very dependent on these sensors and this technology to explore, especially the deep sea, there is a lot of creation of high qualified employment that it should stay in Europe and not go to other high developed economies. So that's
absolutely
an aspect to consider as well.
What I also feel here is you talked about the vastness of the ocean and the knowledge that is still buried under the surface. It's the same with the economic terms. I think that the numbers you have to put on it cannot be overseen. It is huge, the impact of everything that is happening on the surface of the ocean, under the surface. It's absolutely not simple, but I think that Anonymous can also take contact with Claire Joly to have more insights on what is happening there. Another question, I'm just going to take these questions because they're so good. Do we know if there is a good understanding about the FAIR principles in all sectors? Should we already be starting adding concept of care principles? That's a nice question. Who would like to take that one?
Well, I think
they're looking at each other like, who's going to move first?
Yes. Well, we are working towards fairness, and FAIR principles is indeed very consolidated, actually. And eModNet itself is adopting FAIR principles. There are tools to evaluate the fairness of products and so on.
So there, it's already taken care of.
I think so.
There you go.
And it's dynamic too, so you can adapt as more knowledge and unfairness.
It's an effort, so
it's a continuous effort, I would say.
Indeed.
Go ahead.
I'm not quite as optimistic on the FAIR as my colleagues.
Okay.
I think when we are speaking to a lot of scientists, it is still a concept that they are not that familiar with. Data illiteracy is a real issue. A lot of them do not understand what they're talking about, but I'm also not convinced that they have to be experts on it. I think it's extremely important that the different data initiatives that we have does most of the FAIR work for them. What needs to be made clear and easy is how they make their data available. They submit them in the right places. And then the eModNets and the OBIS and so on of the world will take care of the component, of the FAIR component. What we haven't addressed is the care component, which is how actually we make sure that the data that comes from indigenous people and so on are also dealt with. And I think this is a question we don't look at enough in Europe. Of course, there are not very many indigenous people left in Europe, so it's a topic that is not as big as it is in, for example, in Australia, where it is extremely important. And so we should be thinking about this, because we are sometimes considered to be tone deaf when we go out of Europe and speaking to countries where this is a real issue, and we don't have an answer. So I think it's important we bear it in mind.
Inga, you want to chip in?
I would like to jump in just to go beyond the scientific world, because the question was also that to all sectors are knowledgeable about that. So I think that this is a work that needs to be done in industry and private sector a lot, because when I have heard quite many kind of good examples, good presentations of the industry representatives who are ready and supportive of sharing the data, but they are businesses, so they also have their own business interest. Yeah. So they need to understand the benefit of doing it. We need to work together.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is one of the key elements, this cooperation, this transparency, this sharing data, this having the same goal, moving forward to the same objective. I think that is clear. I see that there are a lot of questions pouring in. I still have some questions here on my card. What would you prefer, the questions on the card or the questions on the screen?
May I just say one word on the question which is in the middle there?
Yeah. The new MSFD evaluation report stressed that the MSFD as a key tool to enable marine knowledge. How does DG Mare use its data and ensure policy coherence to achieve GES? A lot of abbreviations there.
Yeah.
I yield. I yield.
No. Well, I want to say, here I read DG Mare use its data. Mm-hmm. It's not data of DG Mare. So DG Mare has developed a service where member states and research institutes and all the community, also private sector, contributes with data and makes this data available for different uses. In the call, in the activity, one of the requirements is to fulfill, to support the MSFD process. Mm-hmm. So, let's say, EMONET representatives are part of these European groups, technical groups, that support this MSFD process, providing expertise on data management, actually. Mm-hmm. So I think that this coordination, let's say, with both the policymakers and the member states, and as I mentioned before, the Regional Sea Convention, so all these actors working together is the way to contribute and to go further, and to, it was that, to ensure policy coherence to achieve a good environmental status.
Yeah. I see that my timer is already getting a little bit more red than and a bit faster than I had foreseen. Last question. Inga, I'm coming to you. What are the main achievements you would like to see in European marine knowledge until 2030, particularly regarding ocean observation? If we look towards the future, what would be, like, for you, the biggest success?
I think the biggest success is related with one of the questions also on the screen, that we really need to achieve the better coordination. Mm-hmm. And our current coordination activities, we have a lot of coordination. We cannot say that we do not coordinate our activities, but they are parallel coordinations. And this doesn't lead us to a single point. And this is a main problem. And we need to see that how the Ocean Pact also supports the coordination activities, because I think that Ocean Pact could be a tool for that. For example, to putting forward also the Ocean Observing Initiative implementation, because this gives us a tool for better collaboration, coordination, asset sharing. That means also that with the same resources we are able to observe more, and both in time and in spatial scale. Mm-hmm. So I would put forward the emphasis on coordination in a sense that we stop working in silos, in clusters, but we start working together.
Yeah, thank you very much. Rui, for you, what would be for you like the biggest success, if I can make you dream?
That's easy. So if you look at the, I just got some numbers from the autonomous underwater vehicle industry. Yeah. It represents around $2 billion US in 2024, but it should represent $4.5 billion in 2029. So that's a 16% growth rate per year. So that's a huge opportunity. What might hinder this development? EU regulations. Mm-hmm. Normally, inside these institutes, If you depend on scientists, if you depend on engineers, the development can happen.
Yeah.
But then you might end up with a lot of robots in these institutes because they're not allowed to go at sea because the regulations don't follow up.
Yeah.
So we need to be faster in allowing these research centers implementing the technology in one side, and we need to work with industry to put the best technology at the service of industry and not leave these great systems inside the labs and universities.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely great. Thank you very much. Alessandra, for you, dream big. What would be for you the biggest success?
Well, working together, really, with this common goal of sharing data.
Thank you very much. For you, Nicholas?
I think for me, what I really hope is that we can see an uptake on the biological side in the observation systems, that they move from being project-based and small sections-based to being properly integrated into the European observation programs, indeed the global observation programs. I think we need to make much more visible the successes that we have. I really liked what was said at the beginning of this week, to the introduction to the week, which was we need to make peace with nature. And we need to work sustainably. And I think the observation is absolutely key to this through clever use of technology and data, that we move towards this. I think also we need to demonstrate a vision that goes beyond what we're seeing presented today in our world, that in Europe we have a different vision of how we work and how the world should be. And that's based around data, it's based around observation, it's based on appreciation and use of our natural resources.
In the meantime, my timer is now blinking on the screen, which means that I have to really wrap it up. The questions will be sent to you. If you feel like answering them by mail, just do it. If we have if we have people's names, I see that Belinda, thank you very much for your question. Tina Noiret, thank you very much for your question. We will get back to you with the answer if it has not been given here on stage. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank my panel members for this first panel. 2 more to go. In this panel, we had Inga, Alessandra, Nicolas, and Rui. Give them a big round of applause. I think that our panel members have deserved a coffee break, but also you, ladies and gentlemen, you have deserved a coffee break. We will start again around 11 with panel 2 of this morning session. So see you around 11. See you soon. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I still have a service announcement for you. Apparently around 10:40 there will be a test of the fire alarm. Don't be alarmed, it's just a test. So at 10:40 you will hear a siren going. It is just a test, so no worries. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back after this short but refreshing break. Still people pouring in, I see. So I think that it was very nice to be able to just discuss a little bit on what we saw in the first panel and also what we heard in the keynote. Keep on doing that, ladies and gentlemen. Keep on connecting. Like we said here on stage, it's all about this collaboration and it's all about connecting across the borders. I think that is very important. Our second panel of the day, which will start also with a policy input, the policy input on marine data for the Ocean Pact. A short introduction will be given here by Fabio Pirotta, Team Leader, Marine Environment and Clean Water Services of the Director General for Environment. Please give a big round of applause for Fabio Pirotta.
Well, good morning, first of all. And big thanks to DG Mare for inviting DG Environment to speak at this event. May I start by being a bit poetic, even though we're talking about data, just to say what a beautiful thing the ocean is. And it's something that we all hold close to our heart. We have used its beauty, but we have also abused it. And I think this was a common theme we've heard over the last few days of meetings we've had. No surprise, we've said it already, our societies, our economies, our coastal communities all depend on the health and therefore its productivity of the ocean. And as was mentioned in the previous panel with an acronym, GES, our seas need to be in good environmental status. It's required by European laws. The Marine Strategy Framework Directive was mentioned earlier on, which means good environmental status that our seas have to be healthy, have to be productive, and have to support the life and economy of European citizens and beyond that. I think this resonates very well with the European Ocean Pact. But we keep piling on multiple pressures on our seas. Climate change, pollution, biodiversity loss, through, for example, unsustainable resource extraction. All these have taken toll on the sea's health and productivity for many decades. We need to know when to draw the line, we need to know how to do it before it is too late. To know, we have to observe, the topic of the previous session. We have to monitor, we have to assess, to allow us to act. For this, we need data. Over the last few years, we have learned much about our seas, and as was very well known in this forum, much is still unknown. Much is still unknown about the state of the seas, much is still unknown about the impacts of human activities on the marine species that inhabit or depend on the sea. So underpinning all this is the need for robust data, starting from observing and monitoring our seas. And over the past decade and a half, almost two, the Marine Strategy Framework Directive has paved the way for broad-scale marine data collection. The report that was mentioned in the previous panel on the downward trend for coastline litter. That data does come, for example, from the MSFD. But data on its own is of limited use. We need to turn that into knowledge, and this is what empowers all actors to treat the ocean responsibly. Scientists, blue economy actors, policymakers, we should all take advantage of this data sharing effort to support us make informed and science-based decisions about the ocean. And the EU plays a key role in this. We've spoken about EMODNet earlier on that displays in situ data. We've mentioned Earth observations through Copernicus. There's WISE Marine, we haven't mentioned this, telling us about the good environmental status of our seas. And there's also data on the economic activities through the EU Blue Economy Observatory. At a time when we all need to make best use of our resources, data is an area where we can do better. We need to be efficient when gathering data and optimize their use. The Ocean Pact should serve as a crucial catalyst in implementing effective solutions. Yesterday, the Commission published the evaluation of the Marine Strategy Framework Directive. It was mentioned as a question earlier on as well. And marine data is identified as one of those areas that could be managed better. The complexity of marine ecosystems makes monitoring difficult and expensive, so we need to coordinate and foster collaboration across the various actors. Only then can we acquire the data we need and bridge the existing knowledge gaps, ultimately improving our understanding of our ocean. There's also a disparity in the methods used for data collection and monitoring. Different marine regions and different sectors often use various standards, leading to fragmented data. This hinders our ability to gain a cohesive understanding of environmental challenges and limits the planning of human activities in the best way possible. The potential of digitalization, data sharing, and Earth observations also remains largely untapped. By investing in innovative data collection methods and supporting digital technologies, we can prevent better and mitigate the impacts of human activities at sea and on the seas. To harness this improvement, we must focus on educating and training the next generation of marine scientists and data analysts. Finally, we can engage citizens in our quest for data. It expands the scope of data and will strengthen the bond between science and society. I don't intend to conclude this speech, this policy input, because I hope it serves as an introduction to a deeper debate on how data, which was mentioned as the invisible basis behind all we do, as indeed the basis for all ocean-related activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fabio Pirota, for this policy input. Now it's time, ladies and gentlemen, to give you the panel members. Remember that you can still send in your questions with the QR code, the Slido QR code. Don't hold back. Send in all the questions that you want the panel to answer. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I will first of all invite them on stage, and then I will present them as I did with the previous panel. I would like to invite on stage and give them a big round of applause Nadia Pinardi, Sylvie Beckhaus, and Simone Quattrini. You can keep on applauding, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. Of course. Hello. Hey, Sylvie. Hello. So there is the QR code, ladies and gentlemen. If you have a question, please send it in, and then we can try to give you an answer. I'm just going to sit here in this chair for this moment. Is that okay for you, Sylvie? Yeah? That's okay. So first of all, let me introduce all of you. I have here on my right-hand side, ladies and gentlemen, Nadia Pinardi, Professor of Oceanography at the University of Bologna. She has been involved with multiple capacities in the development of the Copernicus Marine Service and the European Marine Observation and Data Network, EMODNET, correct? That's what Alessandra also mentioned, the EMODNET. She mentioned it a number of times, so that is something that is really important. On your right-hand side, we have Sylvie Beckhaus, CEO at Zeebrugge Food Logistics and the Vlaamse Visveiling, or the Flemish Fish Auction, active in innovation and the use of data for optimization and business development. Also correct, Sylvie? Yeah. And then we have, on your right-hand side, we have Simone Quattrini. Hello, Simone. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you.
You're fine. Well, you are a PhD in ecological economist with sustainable development expertise gained in the public and private sector, affiliated with the Joint Research Center GRC of the European Commission, where you currently support the EU Sustainable Blue Economy Agenda. That is still correct?
Correct.
Nice. Then we are off. Sylvie, how are you doing?
I'm fine.
You're fine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are you from yourself?
I'm from Ghent, but I'm working in Ostend and Zeebrugge. The fish auctions are at the coastal side.
Of course, they're close to where the product comes in. Well, you're coming from a sector that is very much related to Belgian and European fisheries, of course, food logistics and the fish auction, I already mentioned it, which is, we have to be honest, rarely included in the discussion around marine data and marine knowledge. I think it's a bit left out of the equation and a bit left out of the discussion, but yet you use data and new technologies on a very, very high level in your everyday work, and you have identified it as crucial for the future of your business. Could you explain to us, and especially also to me in a simple way, how you collect and use data in your everyday work? Is that possible, Sylvie?
Yeah, so we have two types of data collection. We have our auction clock and we have our calibration machines. So when the fish is coming in, we know which vessel, which species, which fishing ground the fish was caught. Of course, we know the quality of the fish and we know the pricing of the fish. So, which actually means that we have a lot of data that's coming in every day since, I think, 20 years. And so we can actually identify tendencies. So what we see is that the catch today is far smaller than the catch yesterday, where 10 years ago we had 15 tons on average. Today we have 9 tons on average coming in. But we have the same amount of species coming in, which means that for the calibration of the fish, we have smaller batches, which takes our productivity down, and that we have to react on that. And as we have that everything data-based, we could invest in new machines who are helping us with artificial intelligence to recognize several species at the same time, so we can calibrate several species at the same time, which means that our workforce don't have to stop in between every species anymore. So we have a better productivity today than we had before that investment. But as we also see the tendencies in the timings of the year and the fishing grounds, we can better plan our workforce. Because one season of the year we have 30 tons on average in the auction, and the other season of the year we have 200 tons. So, but we know when the vessels are going to that fishing ground, in that period of the year we will have that type of catch, and so we can plan the workforce. So that's also something that makes it easier for us to work, and that's also data-based. And the other thing that we see is, as an auction, we have to combine supply and demand. And as we see the tendencies, and we know what's going to happen when they go to one fishing ground or the other fishing ground, we can relate both supply and demand so that both is better connected. And that means that the fishermen will have better prices, and the retail or the buyers will have enough fish at that moment. So actually we are data-based, and more we are data-based just to predict what's going to come. And for the future, I think it's going to be even more important, because the fishermen today are often going to fish in areas they know because their father was fishing there and their grandfather was fishing there. But the oceans are changing very quickly. And if I say very quickly, I mean very, very quickly. We see year-on-year changes, which means that the expertise of 10 years ago is often not valid anymore today. And we can help the fishermen to tell them where the fish is at this moment. And I'm not going to do that with my data alone, because my data is only what they're landing. But if we can combine, and I hear the whole morning I heard about combining data and collaboration. So if we can combine all the data, we can help the fishermen to go to the fishing grounds, which are very productive. And so we help them as well. So yeah, data is becoming more and more important, and it's very down to earth and very economically inspired.
Yeah, the thing that really astounds me is the connection between the amount of fish that you're catching and then what you said, the supply demand, that you immediately can like calibrate the prices. And I was not aware of that this is happening almost in real time. You talked about changes in the ocean, and you see a lot of changes. Could you highlight like one or two that strike you the most?
Well, I'm CEO of the fish auction since 8 years. And when I started, we had more or less 6,000 tons of plaice every year. Today we have 1,000 tons left. When I started, we didn't have any squid. Today we have 4,000 tons of squid every year. So it's going very, very fast. And that means as an auction, as we have to combine supply and demand, that the eaters of squid are in the south, but the squid is swimming up. So we have to look for new buyers, otherwise our fisherman doesn't have the fair price for the squid. And where the plaice went up because they go to colder waters, so our buyers of plaice of 10 years ago, they have to go to Denmark and to Norway to buy their fish. So we see it changing very quickly, yeah.
When you were talking about squid, Nadia was like, that's very good.
Well, we send it back to Italy.
Mediterranean.
Yeah.
But we send it back to Italy, so our buyers are in Italy.
Of course. Nadia, I come to you. You trade in marine knowledge as a professor and as an expert, of course. After almost 20 years of development of marine data services for Europe and the world, we have achieved a lot. The Copernicus Marine Service, EMODNet. And yet, like we said also this morning in the first panel, there is so much more we can do, so much more we have to do. What do you think that has been the greatest achievement so far, according to you, if we look at data management and data sharing? And what will be the greatest challenge in the 5 years to come?
So thank you for the question. It's a challenging question.
I know.
So I totally agree that we achieved a lot. So I started to work with the Commission in the 80s. And so I definitely can see the robust integrated marine data ecosystem that has been built for data, for products, that is amazing and is leader in the world. Okay, so this is these platforms, we call them platforms, where we make available as well as we can, but maybe a little bit better in the future, I wouldn't mind. Make accessible this data and usable this data by many communities is really an achievement. However, I think that there are few challenges in front of us, as we have heard. And I would say that if you ask the next 5 years, because it's important, the time period, right? Because you could say 30 years or 20 and so. But the greatest challenge, in my opinion, is enhancing knowledge to improve risk assessment and management in the face of the changes that we are seeing. So I think the society asks for that. And we have to show that our data are essential for this. We have a vast amount of data, we heard, and we actually do. We need to bridge the gap between this data availability and the usage of this data for risk management and assessment. And we can go, and then we are also going to be adaptive, right? We need to be adaptive, so we need to know from the data that we have how to adapt best. So if we have squids in the northern European seas, we have started telling people how good squids are. You know, so they can. And we started in the Mediterranean with many species, and now our markets are full of new species that we were not eating before, as well as salmon that does not come from the Mediterranean. Okay, so I would say that then, you know, this adaptability is strictly dependent of the society, strictly dependent on the data that we have. So I think I would like to list 4 or 5 points that I think are important for achieving this goal, this challenge, interfacing the data with the risk management and assessment, a better risk management and assessment. So one is strengthen the real-time monitoring. You know, physical oceanography, and I'm a physical oceanographer, was not used to real-time monitoring. We are not now thinking about this, but when I started my career, data were collected by ships and then shared so and so, and then there were no standards. You could use different CTDs without averaging, with averaging, and so on. Okay, so now we have standards and we have real-time. So real-time monitoring is really helping. So we need to strengthen the real-time monitoring and integrate this real-time monitoring with multi-hazard early warning systems that help to adapt, to mitigate the risk, manage the risk. The other part which was mentioned, which I think is of utmost importance, is that data are at the basis of our AI society, which is already here with us. So data observations do make our models, numerical models now. It is is becoming not anymore models. It's like numerical models and AI models. So there are two of them, right? So in order for AI to use the numerical models, we have to trust the numerical model, right? How do you trust them? With observations. Okay. So in order to go to the AI-driven predictive modeling, we need to have observations, and much more than we have now. I just would like to announce here, since we are in the ocean, sometimes we forget about our driver, that is the atmosphere for the ocean. The ECMWF on 25th of February 2025 put operational the AI-driven forecast system, the first one in the world to be fully AI. And we know that it does many times much better than the old numerical modeling system.
But as you said, the AI system can only be as accurate as the data you put into it. Of course, that is normal. One last point, or?
I have a last and then I finish.
Okay.
Let me see. Yeah, and then after we do all this, so we have AI in the basic products, in the generic products, then is the European digital twin, right?
Yeah.
Which is already, these models are their digital twins components, but they're not really the one that we need for risk management. For risk management, we need to further go in the value chain and have them customized for the use. Yeah. So that is another challenge.
Okay. Thank you very much. Sure. Thank you very much. I think in the third panel we will also talk about the digital twins. So we're going to go more into detail on that one. In the meantime, there are questions coming in, but I'm going to turn to Simone. Simone, everything still okay?
Yes.
Absolutely amazing. I'm just going to move over there because we're so far apart. There we go. There we go. So, Simone. Very often we speak about marine data. We have been talking about marine data, and then we talk about environmental data, either from the field or from satellite observations. But the Blue Economy Observatory brings in the social and economic data. Can you tell us a little bit about this initiative and how it fits in with the rest of the marine knowledge? So this, let's say, social and economic data. Can you shed a light on that?
Absolutely. Thanks a lot. So as its name suggests, the EU Blue Economy Observatory is an initiative of the European Commission to monitor the socio-economic performance of the EU blue economy. It is a huge effort that the Commission started in 2018, and it involves many services of the European Commission itself, as well as many other executive agencies of the EU. In 2018, the result of this initial effort was a publication called the EU Blue Economy Report, which is an effort that continues until today. In fact, we are just about to release the 8th annual edition of the Blue Economy report. Is going to be launched at the European Maritime Days in May in Ireland. So I take this opportunity to invite everyone to attend this event, either in person or remotely.
We'll be there.
And then since 2022, we added an important component to this effort, which is an online knowledge platform, which is the observatory itself. It is a service that is available on the public domain, and it is used to disseminate information about what we know about the socio-economic performance of the blue economy. Let me just quickly explain, first of all, what we mean within this effort by blue economy. We take a fairly broad approach in the sense that we encompass all activities and industries that are either marine-based or marine-related. So this goes from fisheries to agriculture, extraction of minerals and other products from non-living resources from the oceans, but also shipbuilding, maritime transport, port activities, as well as a fairly broad range of innovative technologies and emerging sectors. So from renewable energy, wind, tidal, etc., desalination, also in a very important sector, blue biotechnology. And what do we do about these sectors? We essentially use data coming from Eurostat, which is the European Statistical Service, to monitor the trends in some key socioeconomic indicators such as turnover, gross value added, employment, remuneration, investment. And so this gives us the opportunity to monitor the evolution of these indicators over time, assess those trends, and more importantly also analyze the effects that exogenous or endogenous shocks have on these economic sectors. So this includes, for example, the effects of COVID, the effects of disputes or conflicts, the effects of trade disruptions in maritime shipping, for example.
Yeah. If you look at those statistics, what are the biggest trends you can pinpoint right now? If you can name like 2 or 3 that really jump out.
Yes, well, first of all, I would like to point a positive trend. So the blue economy, so we are monitoring it since 2008, so we have approximately 15 years of coverage. And the blue economy has been growing steadily, both in terms of turnover, gross value added, and employment, with one exception. The exception is fossil fuel industry, which understandably so, because of the European Green Deal and the other commitments, have been decreasing. Also, another positive trend, I was alluding to it just a minute ago, is the importance of these emerging innovative sectors. In some member states more than others, obviously, but for example, desalination is an industry that is gaining more and more importance because of water scarcity and because also of the evolution of the technology, which enables the industry to address some of the challenges and criticism that prevented it from becoming, let's say, bigger until now. I had a chance to be here yesterday at the Blue Invest, where some very promising European startups have been awarded a prize here by European Investment Bank and others, because indeed they are able to combine the latest technology, so to produce desalinated water with less energy content, and also they are addressing the issue of the discharge, which is brine, which is very polluting. So they are using it as a resource to extract from it those minerals that are so important for other industries.
Nice, nice, and beautiful trends if you see those emerging industries going up. And in the meantime, we get some questions in. Question from Torsten Kiefer from GPI Oceans for Sylvie. Sylvie, I'm going to read the question. If the fishing sector benefits from data, does it also invest in contributing to the common data pool?
Yeah.
There you go.
Now, in Belgium, we have a quite unique system. We are fishing all over the place. So we're going from the Irish Sea to up to Denmark, which means that we're everywhere. So we have data from everywhere. And as we are in several fishing grounds, it's very difficult for the Belgian fleet to be MSC. So we have our own system. It's called Towards Sustainable Fisheries, or Visserij Verduurzaamd in Dutch. And we are collaborating very closely with ILVO. And ILVO is our Institute of Agriculture and Fisheries. And so our data is used, our data and the data of the vessels, is used to have this tool working. It's called VisTools. To have this tool working, and there we are measuring ecological, social, and economical data for sustainability. Also, an auction has some legal obligations. So my data of my auction clock is going directly to the government, to the Belgian government, because they are basing the quota on it. The reduction of the quota per vessel after the catch. So yeah, our data is scattered all over the scientific institutes and the government.
Yeah. Follow-up question, is this available and where?
Well, the government and the scientific institutes.
There you go. And everyone has access to that?
I don't know, you have to ask them.
Okay.
Now, the government, they have the general statistics, which are available. And ILVO, so the Scientific Institute, I'm not sure if it's open sourced.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. But I'm still looking for ways to use our data and to combine our data with other data in a way that we can go forward.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Nadia, I'm going back to you. We heard in the policy pitch the importance of coherent marine data for the implementation of policy, mainly field data in situ, as we call them. Yet, you know better than me, the difficulty to acquire funds for data standardization and data management. How can a European marine knowledge agenda under the Ocean Pact create the motivation for such national investments, and this in a sustained manner? How would you approach this?
Easy question.
That's an easy question? Okay, that's good.
Okay, so I think that I like very much the talk by the expert from OECD, that she was at the beginning here. And she gave actually my answer, and I'll try to add more details. And the answer is marine data shouldn't be seen anymore as an expense, but a strategic investment.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to reach that point. And while I believe Alessandra and the previous panel discussed, you can see that the implementation of policies, directives, has already started to recognize the importance. Still, securing sustained national investments remains a challenge, and it's because it is seen as an expense and not an investment. So let me try to see, but I think that the European Ocean Pact, which I like very much as a name and as a feeling that it gives, has the goal, will be able to reach this goal, and possible points of attention they have been already provided this morning, proving the economic value. So we have a lot of discussion about that. I will not dwell in more. The other is making marine data central to national planning. That's a bit less developed. We are happy in Italy that we finally have a plan for the sea, just approved. And, you know, it's important. We know other countries have had already some, but we need also to work at the national level. Okay, so that's an important. The last one, which I think is coming out also of the previous discussion, is align national and international investments. so that they all converge, find a co-financing mechanism that will allow these national contributions to, be valued and interlinked with broader initiatives like the European Digital Twin Ocean, like the European Ocean Pact.
Yeah.
And so we need to drive this shift. Data observations are not a cost, are an investment for society.
There you go.
And I finish.
I just have to go to Simone, because if we project to the coming 5 years, Simone, the connections that you see of this data that you will bring forward with a larger framework, with the Ocean Pact, what will we be able to do with this information in 5 years from now that we couldn't do before? Where do you see the potential?
Yes, indeed. I think I'd like to just follow on what just Professor Pinardi just mentioned. I think, first of all, the EU Blue Economy Observatory is part and parcel, let's say, of this Ocean Pact construction that we are putting together. And it covers an important dimension of it, a crucial dimension, I would say, which is the competitiveness of the European economy in a changing world that geopolitically is changing dramatically over the past few days and weeks, and it will continue to do so. We are conscious, and when I say we, I'm referring in particular to the two agencies that are coordinating this joint effort of the European Commission, which is the Joint Research Centre and DG Mare. We are conscious of the challenges ahead in terms of further improving the value of this service that we provide. And how do we do that? Essentially, we are addressing two major needs. One is to improve the timeliness and coverage of the information that is disseminated via these products. We are working essentially with authoritative data that originate from member states and then are consolidated at the level of Eurostat. And this data, because of the intensive data quality control process, require time to be properly, let's say, validated and released to the public, which means that we are conscious that when we release our assessments, some time has passed from the moment when member states reported about those socioeconomic figures. Yeah. So we need to shorten that time, and we are working very closely with Eurostat and also with member states in order to address this topic. We will not be able to eliminate it. I mean, there will still be some time lag, but we will try to reduce it.
Yeah.
The second is about, let's say, the other important dimension of the blue economy, which is its sustainability. As I was mentioning before, our focus at the moment is mainly on the socioeconomic performance. But of course, we also need to look at how each of these economic sectors in the blue economy are gradually implementing the sustainability commitments that the EU has taken, and also the energy transition targets that they are bound to comply with. And so these are some of the aspects that we will be investing more effort on in order to be able to complement the picture, so that the observatory doesn't only portray the sense of the socioeconomic performance, but also its sustainability performance.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Last question for Sylvie. What would you like to see in the future regarding marine data? What would be, for you, some action points that you really want to see?
Another way to calculate the total allowable catch. Today, it's scientists going on board and counting the fish. I think we need several data sources. I'm very enthusiastic about the eDNA, the multi-beam way of having the data to see where the fish is. Of course, the classic counting of the fish of the scientists, but also the logbook data. Every fishing vessel has a logbook, so everybody knows and can see the data, which fish they are catching. today we see very big variations in quota. Last year we had a minus 77% in the Irish Sea of Dover sole, which is a catastrophe for the auction and for the fishermen. And we had a plus 260% in the North Sea, which is not, it's just because the data is wrong. So if we have several sources of data, we will have a more smooth way of calculating the total allowable catch and calculating the quota. That's a very important one for me. And the second very important one for me is all those fisheries is the most controlled sector in Europe, I think. And every organization, every government and every authority is controlling more or less the same thing, but just a bit different. If we could simplify those controls and automatize those controls, every fishing vessel, in Belgium at least, has data on board, has a logbook, has calibrated scales. So we all have the data. If the authorities could ask more or less the same things, they do, we could automate it, and it would be a lot less work for the authorities and for the sector to have the same reliable data. If something like the weighing duty, Belgium has a very small coastal line, so if the weighing duty is installed and our fishing vessels are landing in Denmark, we have a physical control of the fish, which means that the quality of the fish is deteriorating, which means that the price is going down, which means that the value for the fisherman is going down, and often the fish is staying in Denmark, which means that the whole supply chain of Belgium is completely disturbed, which is not necessary. If we control physically a destination and all the other controls we do with data, we will have the same effect. It won't impact the quota or the total allowable catch. So that's also a very important one. And the last point, because you're going over time.
I know.
The last point is marine spatial planning. Every country is doing its own marine spatial planning, with as a result that we have wind turbines all over the place. And those wind turbines have a tendency to be on sandbanks. And those sandbanks have a tendency to be our historical fishing grounds, which means that those wind turbines and the fishing is not coexisting anymore. It's just fisheries is going out and wind turbines are coming in. If we use a tool, and I think Marijn is going to talk about it in the next panel discussion, if we use a tool that we could have the effects of those wind turbines and the renewable energy at sea, how we can put them in an optimal way that we keep open oceans and we still have renewable energy, that would be a very big help for fisheries. And then we might still be existing in 20 years. Otherwise, I think we might have a very small fisheries sector in 20 years in Europe.
Yeah.
So those are my 3 points.
Thank you very much. Very passionate about what you're doing and about your sector. Can I have a huge round of applause for our panel members, Sylvie, Nadia, and Simone. Thank you very much. I think there is still a lot to be discussed. If you want to connect to them, ladies and gentlemen, you can do so during the lunch. You can ask Sylvie or Simone or Nadia their insights on the data, the marine data, and how to collect them, how to collaborate. But it's time to move on. We only have 45 minutes for each panel, so the time is limited. Third and last panel of this morning, EU DTO, Integrating Marine Knowledge for a Sustainable and Competitive Europe. The policy input will be given by, from the Directorate General for Defense Industry and Space, European Commission, the Deputy Head of Unit for Earth Observation. Please welcome on stage Elisabeth Hamdouk.
Hello, good morning, everyone. It's great to join you here. I don't see a lot as bright here and dark in the audience. So thanks a lot for inviting me to join this part at the last day of the Ocean Days. You have discussed a lot this week about ocean knowledge and the ocean knowledge value chain. And I will talk here specifically about the digital twin of the ocean of the European Union and its relation and contribution to marine knowledge. I have 3 key messages for you. The first one is to underline how the EU digital twin of the ocean is really a powerful integrator for the operational marine knowledge. As we've seen in this panel, but also before, we have a vast amount of data and observations as a foundation for the marine knowledge. And at the same time, over the past years, we have also seen a quantum leap in how digital tools evolve and also our modeling capacities. So to bring these two together is the digital twin of the oceans. And the purpose of this is to make the ocean knowledge and information more easily available, not only to experts, but to everyone, so to the citizens, policymakers that need to take a decision, entrepreneurs, scientists. We just heard the example of a complex situation where we have wind farms on the other sides and the fishing on the other. And I hope that such tools help us to model interrelation of different aspects. And it will help us a great deal to better understand the oceans, to manage them more sustainably, and also contribute to innovation and competitiveness around the oceans. So in more concrete terms, it will provide a unified and interoperable and easily accessible platform for sharing and combining data and models and also expertise that come from various sources. So if we imagine, for example, that we look at ecosystems and how external effects impact them, for example, climate change or human activities, we will be able to get much more concrete answers and projections. For example, how seagrass environments evolve and can step up their contribution as nature-based solutions for the protection of coasts and waters could be modeled with such a twin, but also marine wildlife, if we think, for example, about fish migration, tuna migration, and other. The European digital twin of the ocean will be provided as a public good, so available to everyone, and it will play a crucial role as an integrator of the marine knowledge that we have. The second quick point that I would like to make is on the contribution that the European Union and the European Commission have given over many, many years to ocean knowledge to expand our extensive marine observation and monitoring tools over the past 20 years. Let me start with the European Space Policy, because I come from the Directorate General for Defense and Space, where as part of the European Union Space Program, we have developed an impressive observation capacity and specifically for the oceans, the Copernicus Marine Environment Monitoring Service. Again, we talk here about free data accessible to everyone and free information products. And it also evolved a lot over time and has now become a world-leading reference for services on the global oceans and the European regional seas. I would also like to highlight the annual publication that we have on the European State of the Ocean Report. The next one will come in autumn this year in September. And this is, I mentioned, it's evolving. It evolved a lot over the past, and we have very ambitious plans for the future. So the program will hugely increase its observation capacities. This year's in autumn, we foresee the launch of our second Sentinel-6 that will give us more precision and continuity in the measurements of the global sea level rise. And also with our Copernicus expansion missions, we will improve our capabilities to monitor and forecast parameters for coastal areas, for the Arctic, and also for the global ocean geochemical parameters. Second thing I would like to quickly mention is the EMODnet that plays a vital role as a trusted source of in situ data for the marine, environmental, and human activities data, and also the data products that it delivers. And to underpin that, the Commission has invested a lot in the marine research and innovation infrastructures with new technologies and methodologies and tools that can then be integrated into the digital twin of the ocean. The importance of this was recognized at highest political level. The President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, has announced this in February 2022. And it has become one of the main deliverables of the mission for the oceans and waters. to also have an aspect of bringing the stakeholders together and the ocean community to kind of co-develop this innovative tool. Progress is being made. The first prototype has been delivered summer last year, and now it's in the second phase for consolidation, but also scale up with additional data sources and models. And the objective is clear, and this is a gradual transition into an operational service in the future. Then at political level, we see it, this is my last three key message, as a very important component for the framework of the Ocean Pact, where the Ocean Pact is really, where the digital twin of the ocean and the marine knowledge value chain is a cross-cutting component to the pact that underpins it, and that is very important as a foundation for the implementation of key marine policies. And here we see the EU digital twin of the ocean really as a strategic enabler of the pact that can really make it impactful, and also contribute to continuing to position the European Union as a leader in the development of digital ocean technologies. So as I mentioned, the objective is to make it operational with insurance of continuity and reliability in the future, building on the existing structures that we have from space with Copernicus and also the EMODnet and other sources. And like this, I believe that it can become a real game changer in our objectives that we want to achieve in our European Union's ocean policy. Thanks a lot.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Elizabeth, for this policy input, for the policy pitch. Now I would like to welcome the three panel members for the last panel of this morning. Please give a big round of applause for Marina Tonani, Marijn Rabaut, and Patrizio Mariani. You can continue the applause, ladies and gentlemen, as long as they're not here. Keep on applauding. Please sit down, sit down. If you want any water or anything, please feel free to grab a glass. The first thing that strikes me here in this panel is that all three of you have a marine connection in your name, which is absolutely amazing. We have Marina Tonani, Marijn Rabaut, and Patrizio Mariani. It's nomen est omen. I'm going to start with your introduction, Marina. You're a specialist in ocean modeling and forecasting systems. You're coordinating the monitoring and forecasting centers of Copernicus Marine Service. That was already mentioned. And you are the expert of the digital model for Edito. More about that later. Next to you, we have Marijn Rabaut from North Sea Neutral. You're an independent marine expert, linking sustainable blue businesses to science and policy. You work for the Blue Innovation for Blue Cluster, and you operate in an ecosystem of companies on a large-scale marine projects, which is absolutely great. And you contributed to the North Sea Neutral Initiative to build scenarios at North Sea Basin scale. So everything also connected to that digital twin of the ocean. And then next to you, we have Patrizio Mariani from DTU Aqua, senior researcher DTU, and you lead the group on observation technology at DTU Aqua, focusing on the development of ocean technology, supporting the next generation of integrated marine ecosystem assessment. Huge business card. Yeah. Really? That's okay. We're gonna check that later. You're working on, in each case, you're working on observational technologies and the development of digital twins. That is correct, right? Ah, okay. You can take the microphone. Yeah. There you go. Because the first question is for you. Oh. Yes, I'm told that it's not uncommon that people get very excited with the development of the European digital twin of the ocean, but they don't link it so much to the availability of coherent observations and reliable data. Can you make it simple for us, and especially for me then, with some examples from your experience?
Yes, I can. I think also before it was mentioned that, I mean, the digital twin are as good as the data that you put into it. And of course, I mean, these numerical models, they need to rely on high quality data if they want to represent the reality out there. In the case of the digital twin, this link with the data is a little bit more challenging because, as mentioned before, there will be a lot of users of these tools, a lot of services that needs to provide. They will have different needs, different time scales at which maybe the data should be collected, different spatial scales. So that type of requirement, to me, translates into some sort of automation, robotics in the data collections, and maybe distributed sensor systems that should be deployed out there. One example could be, for example, what we have done in the Copenhagen harbor recently. The harbor of Copenhagen, I mean, has been changing a lot over the last 20 years. It was an industrial harbor and became like a place where people can swim. And there are also restoration activity inside. But still, once in a while, you can have that water quality deteriorates quite a lot. And these pollution events are very erratic in time and space. I mean, it's very difficult to monitor them because by the time you know that they are there, they disappear when you go. But still, I mean, people swimming, they can see it and they can smell it. So we have been actually in communication, in contact with the Copenhagen commune, and we went there with an autonomous systems. In that case, specific is a catamaran with some new sensor type. We did some research in how to do integration on the machine and how to navigate in places where GPS and GNSS is not really reliable. It will jump. But we have done some research, and we have deployed it, and we have mapped very fast and very accurate the entire area to find for some pipes, maybe that was unreported, and indeed that's what we found.
Okay.
So this type of systems shows you actually the capability how to link real-time, almost real-time data acquisition with the possibility then to develop models that can provide then a decision support or a tool to make decisions about how to manage pollution, for example, in the Copenhagen harbor. I've actually asked to link the map that we have produced to the QR code. So maybe if you click on it, you will see it. I haven't tried it on the mobile phone, actually. It works on the PC. Okay. In case it doesn't, just come back to me. Yeah.
Okay, nice. So it's all about, like you said, the quality of the data that is put into it makes, of course, the decisions are the right ones, not always that easy. How do you see this evolution? Like, when we discussed in the previous panels, we have AI coming up, we have predictable models that are more and more gaining terrain. How do you see that in this sector?
Yeah, I mean, the distinction between these kind of process-based models, I mean, where you have a bunch of differential equations that you need to solve, takes time. Sometimes you want a simulation or some prediction very fast. That's where AI can jump in. In fact, I mean, some of the examples provided before in terms of new forecast model based on AI, deployed, I think, from Google, but I think also Mercator today is doing it. This is the way to go if you want to deliver this type of information very fast. But AI can also, I mean, in terms of data acquisition is very important. Mapping and monitoring biodiversity is a big, big challenge. And also, I mean, something that we really need if we want to have this sustainable blue economy for real. And the use of AI, image analysis, acoustic analysis, that to me is where research should go in the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay, thank you very much. In the meantime, we can also show you the QR code, ladies and gentlemen. If you have questions for the panel, don't hold back. Scan the QR code and send them in via Slido. We will try to squeeze them in. Not always that easy. Marijn, I'm coming to you. You're representing North Sea Neutral. Just in a few words, can you explain to me what North Sea Neutral actually is?
Yes, North Sea Neutral is actually it's a project where we developed a model, but we started from the problem, I would say, that we have plenty of ambitions for our oceans. As we can see also this week, as we have seen in the Pact, we have lots of projections, but often they're not connected. Like, for instance, Fisheries are looking at it with their own vision, as we saw from Sylvie, but also we have renewable energy objectives, etc. And what we see is that if you put all the ambitions together, they often actually are not going to happen, or they are actually hindering each other.
Okay.
So what we did is actually we tried to build a model that calculates, or that can handle the complexity and interactions between these ambitions. Okay. So it's very much data driven, but it's focused on scenario building for the future. So actually to put in all the data and to see if this is our ambition, what is the consequence for nature conservation, what is the consequence for fisheries, where should we put the windmills, if this is important or that is important. So for a given set of boundary conditions that we can set on our own or based on the ambitions, we can have the optimized solution. So it's an optimization model that actually shows what it should look like if we want to have all these ambitions at the same time, and it provides very insightful things. And part of our model is actually also a co-creation process. So actually we use this model to start discussions with all stakeholders based on objective output. So the best available data is actually combined with a set of rules and say, okay, if this is what we want, this is according to the model the best output. And then actually what you see, people start tuning the ambitions because they say, okay, maybe that's not what we want because we will run into problems for fisheries or for renewable energies, etc. So it's a very strong model, and it's actually maybe the other way around. We're talking a lot about data. We have a very pragmatic approach. We use all data that is out there. We are convinced that we have enough data that is not used today. If you combine it in such models, because we have the power today, also the computational power to do so, you can have, you should base, we think, decisions on this. And maybe one important aspect there is that it's on a basin level. So we did it for the North Sea Basin, but it's machinery that can be used also for other basins. And I think this is one of the major issues. We look to it from a sector point of view, but also from a country perspective. But the ambitions are basin-wide. And I think it's not going to happen that way. So we have to put it somehow together. So it's a very pragmatic way to put it together and to have your output. And it's a start for a discussion. It's not to say you have to do it like this because the boundary conditions, you put it in yourself. But it's objectivized. And it's the optimal solution given your ambitions.
Okay. So this could be, like Sylvie said, the impact of, let's say, the sustainable energy constructions on the fishery. So with this model, you could actually do a prognosis like, okay, what is the impact?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or you can calculate your CO2 impact, you can calculate your impact on fisheries, on nature conservation.
When did you start with this model?
2 years ago.
Okay.
Yes.
And can you give us like an insight on the amount of data that you collect for this?
It's largely based on EMODnet data, but also other sources. So then we only put in, of course, high quality sources, but we have the impression that data is out there, but it's not really actually linked to these policy ambitions.
Okay, thank you very much. Marina, I'm coming to you. Everything okay?
Yes, sure.
Of course, yeah. Where are you from?
I'm from Italy.
You're from Italy? Well, a lot of people from Italy.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, a lot of people from Italy in the panels. I absolutely love it. Do you love squid?
Yes,
of course.
Delicious.
Yeah, because our previous panel member was really enthusiastic when we talked about squid. You're representing the EU Digital Twin Ocean Core Infrastructure. Wow. Edito, there is some ambition there on consolidating marine knowledge. No pressure there. How do you see the EU Digital Twin Ocean supporting the current political priorities, especially regarding sustainability and health of the ocean and the competitiveness of the blue economy? Quite a question, but how do you see the impact of this, well, digital twin ocean on health of the ocean and also the blue economy?
Yeah, so I think that it's clear to everybody that is a big challenge.
Yeah.
But we are there for it, and we are really keen to engage into this and for being able to support a sustainable blue economy to protect the ocean health and our coast environment. What we need is knowledge. So the big challenge we have heard today, how many initiatives we have for collecting data. We have already mentioned two major European assets, so Copernicus Marine Service, continuously and operationally providing information on the oceans, different type of observations, and also EMODnet providing paramount information on the ocean, starting from in-situ observation that are encompassing the physical aspect, the biological aspect, the human activities that are happening on the ocean. So we are starting from something that has been already well consolidated in the past more than 10 years in Europe, but as we have seen, there are so many other initiatives and so many open problems that still we have to address for fully understanding such a fascinating but complex environment as the ocean is, that we need to be able to manage this diversity and complexity in a way that we can build upon it. Build upon it, it means that we are able to develop tools that will help us to quickly connect information that are coming from we are starting with the first panel this morning talking about observations, and so a member of the panel was pointing out the diversity of type of sensors and measurement that you can take in the ocean that can span from the classical physical observation to measurements of the level of sound, to measurement of eDNA, so you can immediately understand how much there is to understand, how diverse is the life of our oceans. And then the data that you can have and you can build and you can be able to deliver, and the tools. And we don't have to forget that as human beings, we have intuition, so we can build upon it and understanding connection, and understanding what could be the links and how we can link the different aspects and the different knowledge that we have in the specific sectors that are dealing with the marine environment. And at the very beginning of today has been mentioned to have an holistic approach. And I think that this is the key of the European Digital Twin Ocean platform. It wants to be able to put all this diversity together in a way that can be used and exploited. And on the top of it, because we love a challenge, we want to make it easy.
Okay.
And that is really adding a layer of complexity, because it means that for simplifying things, first you need to understand the complexity that is behind. So it means that there should be a big involvement of all the community that is building this knowledge, so that they can contribute and we can together understand how we can interconnect and make this diversity bring the key answer to our big question for being able to really promote a sustainable blue economy and to protect the health of our oceans.
Yeah. If you mention blue economy, I'm just going to think about data quality. Just remind me that I want to ask you something about data quality. But if we talk about blue economy, then I'm going to Patrizio, because the Ocean Pact is being developed to support the competitiveness of the blue economy. How can marine knowledge, and particularly the European Digital Twin Ocean, practically do this and support the blue economy, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think, also from the example before, this research in developing systems to monitor what we need, like, for example, as I said before, without a proper monitoring understanding of biodiversity and also of all the ecosystem functioning, we will not have any blue economy in the future. So to be able to do that, we need to develop the knowledge and we need to develop the technology. And the Ocean Pact can really support that knowledge development in these directions. And I think, it should deliver exactly on 3 pillars to me, should be included in the Ocean Pact in whatever shape it will take. One is the advanced knowledge, indeed, on these elements. The other one is to deliver solutions to address some of the challenges that we have. Biodiversity loss, but also climate change, of course, mitigation to climate change, that's another important one. We need to deploy solutions, restoration solutions, solutions to understand and predict this disaster event, for example, in disaster management, I think it's called. But also opportunities, that's another element that the Ocean Pact should include. Opportunities for innovation, opportunities for more secure investment, better risk management on those investments, better understanding of the threats that could happen. Not to be emphatic, but I think ocean should be our secure space in all dimensions. Food security, energy security, climate mitigation, and disaster management, things like that. So we should have the knowledge to support the Ocean Pact to deliver across these dimensions.
Yeah. Talking about knowledge, and I was talking about quality of data, and someone was apparently listening to us. Question from Anonymous again. Marijn, you mentioned you use only high quality data in your model. How would you define high quality?
Yes, well, I think our approach is to use like the data sets that are out there. So I have the feeling today the discussion is a lot on data quality and how to collect it. Our perspective, it's more from a company point of view that developed this model, is that there is a lot of high quality data out there to begin with EMODnet, and that we have to trust it, that we know that it's there, but that it's actually not used enough to actually build these master plans on sea basin level. So our focus is not too much on if the quality is high enough. If you tap into these big networks as EMODnet, we trust it.
Then it's okay. Yeah, it has been approved. It has been checked. The quality is good. So, dear Anonymous, you can rest assured. A question from Hendrik Dissing. Sewer overflows are just one example of land-sea interrelated problems. How to ensure source-to-sea data interoperability? Agree that we need data coherence. Who would like to take this question?
I can try to say, I think EMODnet is the place where this type of harmonization of data should happen. And I think, we should, if it's not already there, we should work in that direction. But because it's exactly true that, these land-sea interactions are crucial to be, to understand how the dynamic in coastal areas are changing, for example. And so data collection on land, I think it's easier in some cases than collection at sea. Both in terms of equipment, in terms of logistics, in terms of money and budget required. But I think the data should be collected in both cases to understand these interactions, yes.
Yeah, we heard Rui, who was talking about the sensors who are really like have to be high quality and they have to go to great depth to be able to collect that data. So the investment there is much bigger. I'm just gonna check, Marijn. If your model, the North Sea neutral, if you would combine that with the EU Digital Twin Ocean, how do these two connect to each other? How can they help each other in making this model stronger and getting a better understanding of what is happening?
Yes, well, our model is a very open one, so we can actually tap into these systems. I talk to the technical people because I'm not working on the machinery itself, but they can actually connect it quite easily to any digital model. And I think the most important thing which connects to the Ocean Pact is that we are actually ready now. We have machinery to build master plans on a basin level, which has not happened today. And if I read the objectives of the Ocean Pact, that's very close to what we want. We want to master plan our sea basins, and I think we have the data. If we use machinery like North Sea Neutral, not only on the North Sea but in different basins, I think this is the next step. So for us, the focus shouldn't be on do we collect enough data, but more how do we use it to really master plan our sea basins.
Yeah. Absolutely. I return to the screen here. What are the current data gaps that we need to address, and how would you do so? Are there still data gaps? What is still missing? What do you still need? And how can we bridge those gaps? Who wants to take that one?
I think that there are data gaps. Yes, there are data gaps. Has been mentioned, especially in the previous two panels. The need for more observation and for data, and especially I think that is well known, that is very, we said we do not want to see the ocean monitoring and observing system as an expense.
As an investment.
But as an investment. And I think that we still have to invest a lot, because we need to really map all this complexity that we have just started to mention and explore this morning, that encompass the entire ocean, that goes from the surface down to the bottom. And as everyone is aware, it's much easier to monitor and observe the surface than the difficult environment that is at the bottom of the ocean, that has anyhow an extremely important contribution to the health and also to the life and the biodiversity of the ocean. So there is for sure the need to promote a continuous observation that should encompass the entire coverage of the ocean, but also, as we mentioned, the diversity of sensors that need to go more into all those, we say complex, but I think is interesting fields, like would be all the part that is linked to the biological part that is really maybe more difficult to structure in terms of monitoring, but that should be monitored. And so we need more data, because, as has been said, also for all the developments in terms of artificial intelligence, we need data, we need observation, we continuously need a new one, because otherwise we will continuously to try to reproduce what was the past and not what is becoming our ocean. So that is really important.
You want to add something, Maren?
I fully agree, but there is one pitfall, and I think we should not actually postpone action because we say we need to collect more data, we need more research, because we have been seeing that, and I think it's time for action now. We have a lot of data that is underused, so also the investment is also important in actually using the data is there. But I fully agree that data collection should go on, but there is a pitfall there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I fully agree with Maren. It's really a very good point.
Yeah, so as you said, we already have enough. It's time to take those first steps. We don't have to wait until everything is 100% perfect, because we don't have that guarantee. Patricia, you want to intervene?
Yeah, to tell that we don't have enough in terms of data. I mean, I'm coordinating a project which is called Mission Atlantic, which is about integrated ecosystem assessment. In that assessment, the first step is to understand the type of data that we have in certain region to understand how the ecosystem evolve in that region. And it's true that, I mean, from remote sensing, we have a lot of data, but that's, I mean, is covering the surface of the ocean. Yeah. When we go to the water column in situ data, we cannot fill all the data that we need in order to understand ecosystem dynamics in our specific regions. And if you take, I mean, the good environmental status and all the indicators of the MSFD, I wonder how much quality data we have at the moment to address these specific indicators in all regions that we need, which is basically at least all the European seas and beyond. So I think the data are there, some, but not at the quality sometimes, and not in the specific place and time that we need.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe what is important is that we need to have awareness of what are these data gaps and the limitations that we do have in the data that we can use, because that will guide us in what we can do.
Yeah.
But not stopping us to do things.
Not stopping to do that, and I think that's a clear message from Maren. We have to act, we have to go forward. In the meantime, I get a message on the screen here. It is noted, so I'm checking if we have some questions from the audience, maybe audience following the live stream, or maybe from the room here in Sparks. So, are there other interesting examples of digital twins to learn from? Are there any other examples?
Yeah, so digital twins are developed and are under development in different communities. And what we are trying to build as EU DTO platform, so EDITO, that I'm representing here, is a platform, the backbone, that will enable us to build digital twins. But it's not the only answer to digital twins. So it means that there could be several digital twins, but the key word is the interoperability that we should guarantee in terms of the architecture and how we can interconnect the different initiatives so that we can really exploit this information and we can use them.
Thank you very much. Other question that is coming in, also a very good one, is the end user aware of the inherent margin of error in the use of such models? What is the margin of error? Do you have any idea? If we look at your model, Marijn, do you have any idea?
Yes, well, our reasoning is the other way around. Today, they are policymakers are making marine spatial plans just by discussing and by gut feeling. Yeah. If we use the data that is out there, it's already far more much quantified, yeah. Objectivized. Is it perfect? No, it's far from perfect, and we have to be aware. But I think we accept already the marine spatial plans of today that are based on not on data. Mm-hmm. So why wouldn't we go one step ahead and use the data that is out there? The quality data, of course. Yeah. So it's we're looking at the other side. Of course, there's errors, but there's far less than not using it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I hope that is an answer to the question. Will there be any stand-up for science action today? Science everywhere. Could be. I don't know. We go into that question after the panel. Marina, is it okay if I ask you one more question?
Yeah, sure.
There we go. The Ocean Pact and the Marine Knowledge Agenda, as part of it, seem to be an opportunity to make this kind of resources available to and useful for a larger community of users. You want to open it up to everyone. As the Ocean Pact develops, this is the opportunity to ask for the foundation conditions in the policy level that can guarantee longevity and efficiency for the EU digital twin of the ocean. What would you want to see included in the future? What would be, like, for you, the ideal thing that you say, like, that makes me happy?
I think that, so first of all, the the Ocean Pact gives a long-term guidance for our development. Mm-hmm. And I think that what we need to have is a sustainability in terms of funds, so that we can have all the support that is needed for developing a operational service that is continuously evolving thanks to the contribution from all the scientific development that is happening around it. And so having really this process that can guarantee sustainability and on the long term, because when you are starting to deal with users and you are providing a service, the user can rely on your service if there is a long-term plan for sustainability of what you are developing, because that will bring to the development of new activities, it will bring them on board in developing their business and developing protocols and developing their capabilities to use what you are developing. And what we want to do is to be able to answer the question of the what if, so being able to provide an answer when you want to do an action that goes toward the protection of the management of the ocean environment, and you want to have an answer, so you need to have a service that is behind it and can answer your question. And that should be also user-driven, so it means that you need to be able to interact not only with who can develop it, but also with who has to use it. And so you need to have all the financial and the structures that needs to go with it, so that you can really achieve what you want to achieve.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Marijn, if I look at you and you see the coming years, if you would like to describe to us what would be your ideal situation, what would be like your dream come true if you look at your model and also the European digital twin of the ocean? What would be like your ideal outcome?
I think the ideal outcome in the long term is, of course, that we have fully sustainable basins, sea basins, and I think it's possible. The way is still long, but with the pact as like a guiding, and then also a very pragmatic approach on the field, in the field, linking these policies and objectives to go really for this sustainability in the field, both for fisheries, for renewables, for nature conservation. I think it's feasible, but I also think we have to act now, and that would be my dream, that we have like this basin-wide maps and policy frameworks that work and that actually contribute to our sustainability of the oceans.
Yeah. In your opinion, what would be the first action that has the most changing potential? The first thing that you want to do, if I give you carte blanche and you say like, okay, I can do whatever I want, what would be the first thing that you did?
That's a difficult one.
I know, but the thing that you say we have to take action, and I agree on that. But the thing is, what has for the moment, what is the action that you want to take that has now the most changing potential?
I think bringing in practice a real master plan, and that countries come together, they put all the data together and say, we will do it.
There you go. So across borders, sit together, put all the data together, let's move forward. Okay. Patrizio, if we project, like, let's say within 5 years or 10 years, what would be your dream come true? What would be for you the ideal situation?
Well, in the short term, my ideal situation is that the ocean will stay a priority in the political agenda and is not kind of distracted by current situation. So, I mean, we have a urgent issue here, which is secure our future through an ocean that is healthy and sustainably used. So my short-term hope is that all the initiatives that actually has pushed the ocean so far in terms of the Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainability and Sustainable Development Goals, I mean, they still are extremely relevant, and political level should understand that that's one of the main priority we have to face and respect the target that we have given to ourselves for 2030 and 2050. In terms of 10 years from now, I can see a lot of use of digital tools, the digital twin as part of it, a lot of use of autonomous systems, a lot of innovation that will emerge from these new ideas and new systems. We reduce the cost of how we are exploring the ocean. We reduce the access to the sea for companies that want to invest. We reduce the risks for them. Yeah. So I think we are at the transition of a kind of a digital revolution for the ocean, maybe, and I think we should support that.
Yeah, as soon as possible, take actions. I have another interesting question coming in here. Shifting baseline syndrome is seen as an obstacle to address environmental issues, yet knowledge about it remains incomplete. Can the digital twin of the ocean help address this? Shifting baseline syndrome is that, well, every new generation thinks that the current situation is normal. So how do you think that, well, this can like evolve in the future and give us a nice view on the situation that we're facing now is not normal, we should act? Is that something where DTO can jump in?
I think that there is something that maybe we didn't stress much today, but all this knowledge that we are talking about is also knowledge that helps us to understand how was the ocean and how it has developed. And this will make everyone aware of what has happened, and especially if we are able to interconnect the different aspects. So, for example, from the physical point of view, these were the characteristics of the ocean 40 years ago, and this was the level of biodiversity that we had, and today these are the conditions, and this is what we have. I think that we will really be able to show in a very effective way what does it mean when you are changing the baseline, and what are the effects that you will have to face.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would like to thank you very much for your input. I would like to thank you very much for the work that you are doing. It's absolutely amazing. And I would like to have a big round of applause for the 3 panel members, for Marijn, for Marina, and for Patrizio. Thank you very much. I'm just gonna... Ladies and gentlemen, I think that there is a lot still to be discussed, a lot of questions coming in. Before we do the closing, I would like to thank all the panel members, and I'm just going to mention them one more time, and then I want to have a huge round of applause for Inga Lips, Alessandra Giorgetti, Nicolas Pade, Rui Caldera, Sylvie Becaus, Nadia Pinardin, Simone Quattrini, Patrizio Mariani, Marijn Rabaut, and Marina Tonani. Let's hear it, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, applaus. And also, I would like you, for one last time in this session, I would like you to use Slido and send in one word what your expectation is for European marine knowledge under the Ocean Pact. So scan the QR code if you haven't already done that, and then send in one word. What is your expectation for European marine knowledge under the Ocean Pact? Let's go. But keep it civil. A lot of words coming in. Stakeholders, renewable, ambitious. Ooh, that jumps out. Fisheries data. Ambitious fisheries data. That's nice. Confusion also, yeah. Clarity and confusion, those opposite of each other. Yeah, data and collaboration. I think that there is a lot of need for collaboration, like we already mentioned in the different panels. Protection, coherence, absolutely amazing. Collaboration and ambitious. I think those are wonderful. Sustainable, coordination, coherence, collaboration. It's, as Marijn said, we have to break those borders, we have to work together, and in order to get all that data together and to take the appropriate action. So there you go. That's a nice word cloud. Keep these words coming, ladies and gentlemen. In the meantime, we are ready for the closing words, and these will be given by a head of unit for ocean, seas and waters in the Directorate General for Research and Innovation of the European Commission, which together with DG Mare are working on the mission Restore for the oceans and waters. Please welcome with a huge round of applause, Elisabetta Balzi.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends of the ocean. I'm really very pleased and touched to be here with you today to be able to conclude a week which has been a very intensive, a very exciting week of the Ocean Days, including the forum of our mission to restore our ocean and waters, which covers multitudes of communities which are engaged in the restoration of our oceans. I'm very pleased to be here with you today. This event, which is very important on the marine knowledge for the Ocean Pact. And as we are bringing this pivotal event to its close, I would like to shortly emphasize a few messages that have emerged from the rich and wide-ranging discussions today and during the whole week of events that we carried out together. And first and foremost, certainly marine knowledge is not optional, is not an option, it is essential. And actually, the digital knowledge of ocean and water system is indeed an enabler of our mission to restore our ocean and waters, and we are very importantly investing in this, as you showed today, also with a digital twin of the ocean delivery and further development. And this marine knowledge ensures that our policies are grounded in reality, making them efficient and impactful. It empowers our blue economy not only to compete on the global stage, but also to lead in sustainable practices and innovations and solutions. This knowledge forms the very foundation of our marine research and innovation efforts, and it enables us to push forward the boundaries of what is possible. And we are, of course, in our Horizon Europe Research and Innovation Program, we are heavily investing in marine knowledge. And the inclusion of marine knowledge within the framework of the Ocean Pact is a timely and necessary step, offering hope and commitment that this essential subject will receive the focus and attention that it deserves. Moreover, as we have seen today, marine knowledge is a continuum. Throughout our discussion, you have demonstrated that a variety of stakeholders from different backgrounds, diverse interests, and varying needs for knowledge, data, and applications come together to form a comprehensive value chain. Each element of this chain is crucial, and every link matters and must be sustained for us to fully benefit from the cumulative values that it provides. And this continuum is what ensures that we harness with the full potential of marine knowledge, enhancing collective impact across all sectors. You know that the European digital twin of the ocean is a key deliverable of our mission to restore our ocean and waters. We were proud to deliver the prototype which was announced by President von der Leyen. This prototype was delivered last year at the forum. And we are continuing, of course, in this important development. And this DTO presents an extraordinary opportunity to move marine knowledge from theory to practice, addressing real-world challenges with precision and foresight. It allows to bring the solutions to the citizens, to bring the measures, the knowledge for measures to the public authorities, and with the Ocean Pact providing necessary policy support, the DTO stands ready to drive forward our sustainable and competitive blue economy as an essential pillar of it. However, for this transformative endeavor to succeed, this requires that we have a robust backing and engagement of our stakeholders community. And so here we really need a broad engagement, even of the citizens at large. And we need you to stand united behind this initiative actively participate in its realization, and engaging broadly and inclusively all the stakeholders. Importantly, the current geopolitical climate underscores the necessity for strategic autonomy. We have seen it in the last days, even very close to us. It is vital that we ensure that we can independently provide and rely on knowledge-based services for our marine and water communities, business and policymakers. Marine knowledge and data are key, and this autonomy is crucial not only for informed decision-making, but also for maintaining resilience and adaptability in a rapidly changing global landscape, and I'd like to add also security. Furthermore, we must keep reinforcing partnerships at both national and international levels to promote the quality, interoperability, and accessibility of marine data. And I would like to add also that there is an important link between the marine and the waters data and knowledge. I think you have highlighted also in today's discussion in land and sea connection and inland waters and ocean connection. So it's important also to keep this prospect in the knowledge and data challenges. And the international landscape is very important. Collaborations like the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development represent tremendous opportunities to build bridges and share knowledge. And here, for example, we have also important activities like the All Atlantic Ocean Research and Innovation Alliance, where we are also importantly investing on knowledge and marine knowledge that has been identified as a flagship initiative and on which we are importantly collaborating with our Atlantic partners. In conclusion, I invite you all to regard today's event as more than just an exchange of ideas. It is really a call to action. We really need the knowledge to provide the solutions, the urgent solutions which are needed on the ground. This is a commitment to collectively pave the way forward. We each have a role. You have an important role to play in safeguarding and nurturing our oceans, ensuring that marine knowledge remains a pivotal element in our decision-making arsenal. Thank you very much for your active participation today, for your very valuable insight, for your expertise, and for your visionary outlooks. Let us move forward together, determined to shape the Ocean Pact and a future where marine knowledge lights a way towards sustainability and prosperity in our ocean union. Our union, European Union, is actually an ocean union, and for our blue planet. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Elisabetta Balzi, for these nice words. Ladies and gentlemen, we are closing this session, but don't go away, because this afternoon at 2 p.m. we have the last session of this week, Fisheries and Ocean Science Seminar, that will take place here, and it will start, like I already said, at 2 p.m. Now there is a lunch, networking lunch, of course, and don't forget to visit the art exhibition on the first floor. You have different rooms. Go inside those different rooms, and also, this is absolutely amazing and so touching. You have the Letters to the Ocean in the corridor. You can read Letters to the Ocean written by children to the ocean. You must read those. They're absolutely amazing. Enjoy your lunch, and then hopefully we meet again at 2 p.m. here for Fisheries and Ocean Science Seminar. Have a nice